Deciding Destiny, Matt's Choice by Tamara L. Adams. Read for you by Tamara L. Adams. Chapter 1. After leaving the 32-story advertising building, Matt walked the 6 blocks to a small bar he and his friends hung out after work to let go of the tension. Advertising was a tough field to be in, and it could drag you down if you let it. An overwhelming feeling of being followed sunk in, so he looked back, but of course no one was there. This was a busy part of town and too early in the evening for a thief to risk being out on the street. A drink would help him relax, or he was going to go insane. Even knowing that no one had trailed him was a relief to walk into Joe's and spot the guys. Matt headed straight to the bar and got his Jack and Coke and gave the bartender a hefty tip, then headed to their usual table. They preferred this one because it was far enough away from the dartboards and pool table to avoid the loud, rowdy crowd that usually hung out there, but close enough to the door that they could check out all the hotties that walked in without being too obvious. And this place seemed to attract a lot of them. There was an endless supply of women to fulfill their needs. It was awful of him to think that way, but let's be honest, men like him had needs that only a woman could fill. "Hey guys, what's happening?" Matt sat down next to Bill, his right-hand man. Charlie tipped his bottle to direct Matt's attention toward the 3 gorgeous women to their right. "We were discussing our approach and deciding which one of us has the best chance of getting them to join us for a few." Mike chimed in, and I said I wanted the blonde, 'cause man is she fine. Matt laughed. Mike usually chose the blondes. Most of them were way out of his league, but he never let that bother him. Not easily deterred, he tried his luck anyways, saying that some of them would come around, getting lucky once in a while. Mike was much smarter than any of the guys gave him credit. Most times he knew what he was talking about, even though none of them wanted to hear it. "Well," Bill said, "I'm going over to tell them that we're just 4 guys looking to have a good time and wonder if they want to join us." Good old Bill, always up for the honesty act and throwing out that charm of his. "Guess it's always worked so far. Don't see why it wouldn't now," Charlie said as he slapped him on the back, forcing him to leave the table. They watched in awe as Bill gave that toothy white smile of his and told the women some charming joke, getting them all to laugh, and continued to persuade them out of their own booth and over to join the boys. It worked every time. Matt should be used to it by now. For the next couple of hours they laughed and chatted away, but there were 3 women to 4 men. Matt felt like the third wheel and got up from the table. "I have a busy week coming up. I need to get home to prepare." "You skipping out on us, Matt?" asked Charlie. "Yep," Matt called back, hearing taunting comments from the guys as he walked away. It was only 10 blocks to his left, and it was still early, so Matt decided to walk home, though he regretted it a few blocks later when the sense someone was following him washed over him again. Matt feared to look, so he just kept a low head and kept going. When someone called his name, Matt looked up and noticed a handsome young man dressed in leather walking toward him. Matt had a moment of instant recognition, but could not place him. "Hey, do I know you?" The man just smiled. "My name is James, and you don't know me, but let's just say this is your lucky day, 'cause I'm here to make your dreams come true." Matt burst out laughing. "Dude, sorry, you're good looking and all, but I'm not into men, and I don't pay for sex, so you can move on and go find someone else whose dreams you can make come true." James chuckled and followed behind Matt. "No, that's not what I mean." He started over again. "That issue you've been battling for weeks now, wishing to see what your future had to offer, depending on which road you take. Well, ta-da, here I am, ready to show you each path has to offer so you can choose for yourself what route to take." Matt stopped dead in his tracks. "What the hell do you mean? How would you know my wishes?" James just grinned. "Let me explain. Like I said, my name is James. I am a guardian of destiny, deliverer of fates, meaning I show up when somebody needs help in choosing which path in life to take. I show them what the future holds for each path so they find it easier to pick. You're desperate, so here I am." "I don't believe you." This guy made Matt uncomfortable. "Well, all I can say is there are many forces at work in nature to make the world go round, and I work for one of them. It tells me where to go and who to help, and to be honest with you, I know everything about you. But don't worry, all your secrets are safe with me, like your undying love for Laura and your fear of getting involved with her." James gave him a wink. This was crazy. Shaking his head, Matt figured he must be dreaming. That's the only thing that made sense. "This is not crazy, and you're not dreaming. By the way, I can also read your thoughts. This whole process is all very real, and it may take a while to explain, so is there someplace we can talk?" Okay, this guy was for real. Matt knew he was crazy for bringing this James guy to his apartment, but he was desperate for answers and did it anyway. They had both stayed silent as they walked the last block. What the hell was all of this? None of it made sense, and shaking his head did not disrupt the thoughts. Crap, he had to stop thinking. It was so uncomfortable knowing James could hear his thoughts. "Do you want something to drink?" Matt offered. No thanks, I don't need to drink, eat, or bathe. I'm not even human anymore. I just take this form to contact or talk to one of you. It makes you guys more uncomfortable when I show up in any other form. What do you mean any more? And what are you exactly? I'm what you'd call a guardian or a messenger or something else depending on what you believe, and the any more is for another time. So you work for God? Well, let's just say a force or fate or whatever you want to call it. Now, enough about me. Let me tell you what I know. James took a seat on the plush leather couch. It's my job to help you decide your fate. I know it sounds cheesy, but that's the truth. See, I come to one of you humans who desperately wants to see his future options and guide him on his way to choosing the best life possible. I don't grant wishes, and I can't give you anything other than a glimpse into your future. Take you, for example. You have a good life and a promising future if you stay on this life path, plus doing it on your own terms and with integrity. Kudos to you. But now you're at a crossroads and don't know which way to go. You've been trying to decide what to do for weeks now and have been begging for a chance to see your future, hoping that someone would just tell you the best way to go. So that's what I'm hearing too. That's where I come into play. Eventually, my boss gets a hint, or just gets tired of hearing you whine and beg about your predicament, and sends me down to shut you up. With you, we could see your desperation to make the right choice, and felt compelled to help. I still don't get it. You're here to tell me what to do? Not exactly. I'll show you 2 possible futures, then you choose which one you want to travel. I'm only here to guide you through and move you along, give you the guidance here and there if you wish. I'm here to show you what your life could be. Let me show you. James placed his hand on Matt's shoulder, and instantly they were transported to another morning. Shock fell upon Matt as he watched the scene play out in front of him, seeing himself walk into the office, waving to people as he walked. This is crazy. Just wait till you see the good stuff. James rubbed his hand like he was about to enjoy a tasty meal. Matt started to blush, and his palms got sweaty at the sight of Laura sitting at her desk. She was so beautiful. Her perfect hourglass figure with the booty in the back, just how he liked it. So right about now, that future self of yours is pining for her, but you're nervous and scared she'll turn you down and think you're an idiot, or even worse, say yes and throw your future plans into turmoil. So every day you just choose to say hi and move on with your day, like a moron. And still, you kick yourself in the ass at the end of the day for not taking that leap and asking her out on a date. You take the scare little boy route. But hey, that's only my opinion, so whatever. You don't understand how it is and what's involved. I don't? Do you remember the conversation we just had about how I know everything about you? Well, okay, but do you grasp what it's like to have a good idea of your life, how it's going to be, and how everything should go, then have a beautiful woman come in and turn that all upside down on you? Honestly, I personally have never experienced that, but I do know when someone is acting like a douche. James just smiled at Matt. But I'll hold my 2 cents on this one and see what happens. Every day you walk by her without anything more than a hello, and this is why I'm here. You'd like to know what would happen if you go up and ask her out. Well, let's see. Wait, do I truly want to know? Seriously, dude. This is what you wanted, and now you're here. Let's just see what happens. Matt freaked out as he watched himself approach Laura. It appeared as though he was calm and collected, which seemed unbelievable to him. Hey, Laura, you look magnificent today. Laura blushed. Thanks, Matt. So how's the photography internship going? Good. I like the variability. I've learned so many new things, like lighting and computer editing. It's a great opportunity. I've seen some of your work, and you're doing a great job. Thanks. I'm my own worst critic, so it helps to hear what other people think. Well, your pictures are some of the best. So, Laura, I've wanted to ask you something for a while, and I didn't have the courage until now, so here it goes. I think you're great and wondered if you wanted to go out to dinner with me sometime, on a date. Matt just spit it out, not knowing how to ask, but it seemed to work all the same. Laura smiled up at the future Matt. I'd love to go out with you. Good. How about tomorrow night at 7? That's perfect, Laura smiled. As Matt watched the scene in front of him, he wanted this to be happening for real and not just some image of what could be. It gave him hope. Okay, great. I'll see you then. Chapter 2. A rush of wind hit Matt's face. He looked up to find his apartment building. Wow, that was crazy. Matt couldn't fathom what he'd seen. It was unreal. Is that what will happen if I ask her out? Do you already know my future? Not exactly. Most of the small events in life can happen in multiple ways and lead you down the same course, but huge events determine the larger path for your life. Oh, okay. What happens now? I mean, how does this work? I'll show you the different parts of your future with and without Laura. From now until many years from now, you get an idea of what either road brings you, so you realize what you want. Then our journey is done and you get your future. There's one rule you must follow. You can't speak of this to anyone or the whole deal is off. This is all kept a secret or my boss won't be happy, which means you won't be happy either. Got it? Got it. I swear. I'll tell no one. Not even Bill? James questioned. Not even Bill. Off we go to our first stop. You're on the way to Laura's for their big date. What? Are you serious? Okay. Wow. I can do this, right? Matt, listen. She likes you. You like her. It'll be fine. There is no need to freak out. Besides, none of this is actually happening. Get it? This is just a possibility, okay? Calm down. It'll be fine. You'll see. You're right. It's still sinking in, though. I get it, but we have to go. Ready? Ready. James put his hand on Matt's shoulder, and in a flash they were on the sidewalk a few blocks from Laura's apartment. Matt didn't recognize the outfit he wore. Dark green pair of dress pants and tan button-up shirt with pink vertical stripes. Not his usual choice of clothing, but it looked good on him. James had a smile on his face. So I had a little fun and spruced up your wardrobe, but you look good, don't you agree? I do. Thanks. I had never picked this out for myself, but I have to admit I look damn sexy. You have good taste, my man. Thank you. Now, don't mess up on your first date. I'll take off for now and leave you to explore your possibilities. I'll see you soon. And with that, James disappeared. This was crazy. It was not normal to poof out of thin air like that. Then again, none of this was normal, and who knew how long it would last? He might as well get used to it. Matt walked to the front door of the apartment building and pushed the button with Laura's name next to it. A few seconds later, her voice came over the intercom. I'll buzz you in. I'm on the 7th floor, number 701. The door buzzed, so he pulled it open before it locked again and found the elevator. A nervous energy ran through him, but he tried to push that aside and knocked on her door. When she opened the door, it took his breath away how beautiful she looked in her satin black dress. She gave him a gorgeous smile, and it melted his heart. He loved that smile, and she had the most stunning blue eyes that seemed to sparkle when she looked at him. Hi, you're gorgeous. Laura blushed. Thanks. Her apartment was tidy and clean. It was the kind of place that made you want to take your shoes off and prop your feet up on the coffee table to prepare for a night's worth of snuggling on the couch to watch a movie. This woman had him considering crazy ideas. How could he have such strong feelings for a woman he didn't really know? I'll be right back. Laura walked into a nearby room while Matt enjoyed the way her hips shook when she walked. A minute later, she walked back out. Let's go. When they got to the elevator, she took his hand, conjuring up strong feelings he tried to ignore. I know this amazing Greek restaurant. Do you enjoy Greek food? Matt asked. I don't think I've ever tried it. Well, you're in for a treat. It's my favorite, and you're going to love it. They hailed a taxi to Kefi, his favorite Greek restaurant on the Upper West Side. I'm happy you asked me out tonight, she said in a shy smile. I've wanted to ask you out since I first met you, but was nervous she'd say no. Or worse, she'd say yes and his whole life plan would go out the window. I'm glad I did. He reached out and caressed the side of her cheek. Shocked at his own gesture, he started to pull his hand away, but she reached up and took a hold of it and smiled. He wanted to kiss her right there before the day had even begun, but stopped before he made a fool of himself. Instead, he smiled and gave her hand a squeeze. In the taxi, they shared a conversation about family and siblings. Matt was an only child, but Laura was one of 6, and she had many comical stories to tell. He particularly enjoyed the story about when they would all pretend to be members of the Brady Bunch and act out scenes from the television show. Matt never knew siblings actually did those kind of things. The rustic Mediterranean restaurant provided a small, intimate atmosphere with secluded booths in the back. He wanted to focus on Laura tonight and find out more about her. This place is comfy and inviting. How did you find it? I'm part Greek on my mother's side. We traveled to Greece one summer when I was 13, and even though it only lasted 3 weeks, I can't get over my love of traditional Greek food. I check everywhere to find restaurants that resemble what I remember the food tasting like from that trip. This place brings back those wonderful memories. Matt looked at Laura and she smiled. She grinned from ear to ear. What? No, nothing. You just look so happy and adorable now as you talked about your trip and those memories. Do you want to visit Greece again someday? I've planned a trip to Greece in my head ever since that summer. Now I have money but no time. I'll visit again someday. It's a dream of mine to travel around the world, visiting beautiful places on postcards and in magazines. I want to find adventures out there, don't you? I guess. I don't know. I mean, it would be fun to see the Eiffel Tower or the Great Wall and all those places around the world. But then I think about all that life has to offer here in my own little world. Like you said, it takes time and money to do those things. People work so hard to get to that point. I wonder if somewhere along the way they lose sight of what matters, letting life pass them by. She half smiled at him. Matt paused for a moment. I never thought of it that way. With that, the waitress brought out their meal. Laura had taken one look at the menu and decided she knew nothing about Greek cuisine and asked Matt what he recommended. She ended up deciding on roasted lemon chicken with potatoes. She took one bite and looked up at Matt. "This is delicious. Maybe the best chicken I've ever had." He smiled. "And now you see what I mean." "I do. This is so good. Thank you for introducing me to Greek food." They sat in silence, enjoying dinner for a while. Matt asked, "Do you like New York so far?" "New York is great. So much to do and always so busy. Sometimes it's too busy, and there are crowds of people walking the streets all hours of the day. The city's a bit crazy and over the top. I'm not sure I could ever get used to it. Being from Minnesota, I don't see this much excitement all the time. It's exhausting. I love the job, though. Getting to take amazing photographs of famous actors and models and learn new techniques. This is a great experience. I'll never forget it. How about you? Do you enjoy the craziness of it all?" "I do enjoy the chaos and people. New York is constantly entertaining, and I can't get enough of it. Being from New Jersey and living so close to the city made me envious of the lifestyle and determined to live in New York one day. I'm enjoying my life and find it's as good as I imagined." "That's great. So you plan on staying in New York for good then?" "I guess I can't see myself living anywhere else now that I know what it's like to live here. Don't you want to stay and continue your work? I mean, even though it's a temporary internship, I've seen your photographs and know they would keep you on full time," he asked. "After spending the past month here, I've grown to love the job and the experiences, but I don't think this lifestyle is for me. I discovered that I'm not a big city girl and miss a small town suburban life. When I left Minnesota, I would never have admitted to missing it, but I do. Everything here is amazing, but too much. After this internship, I plan on moving back to work at the local newspaper again. Just live a normal, everyday life as a soccer mom or something." Laura laughed at herself. "I can't believe I just said that." Matt laughed with her, but turned silent. This was the reason he didn't ask Laura out earlier. What if they had a great time and connected, and then she moved back home? Matt knew he didn't want to leave New York, so the relationship would end and he might always regret it. He tried not to think about it and concentrated on enjoying the date. "What would you like to do next?" Matt asked. "I have a few things in mind. Will you let me surprise you?" "Sounds great. I love surprises." Matt waited for Laura's reaction when they stopped. She gasped. "This museum is one of my favorite places in the city." Laura looked up at him with those beautiful blue eyes with brown specks and made his heart flutter in his chest. He would do anything to make her happy. Geez, what was he saying to himself? It was her first date, and he was already swooning over her. He needed to pull himself together and get a grip. He spent the next hour listening to her descriptions of each piece. Her face beamed as she talked about her dreams of one day having a work of art on display in a museum. It was the first time in forever he remembered doing something for the pleasure of someone else. It felt better than he could have imagined, and it scared him a little. After the museum, they went to a nearby coffee shop. Matt was not ready to say goodnight just yet. "What is Minnesota like? I mean, I don't have a clue what life is like in rural America." Laura laughed. "Well, to be honest, it is the exact opposite of what you're used to. I mean, out there in those smaller towns, everybody knows everybody from birth on, and everyone stops to talk to you and see how you're doing. People help each other out and are there for each other, even for the little things. Here, most people won't give you a second glance on the street, and nobody wants to talk to you unless they know you or have a reason to talk. At first, I liked that part of this place. I'd gotten so tired of everybody wanting to know everything about me and wanting to talk to me everywhere I went. It can get old, always having to be nice and friendly to your neighbors, even if you don't want to. But that's how it's done in the Midwest. I love not having to say hi to anybody here and being able to start fresh and no one judging me for my past or my family. Though, after a while, it can get lonesome and you start to miss the smiles and warm hellos from everyone who care about you." "Wow, really? I guess I never thought that life in the Midwest was like the Truman Show," Matt laughed. "I loved that movie." "Yeah, I guess it sort of is, which means life can get boring when the same things happen day in and out. There's not much excitement in town, besides the fair once a year and the Friday night football games. It would be nice if somewhere there was a nice city that had the best of both worlds, so you could enjoy all of the good things and not have to deal with the rest." "It would be nice. I guess we'll have to find that place someday," Matt said without even thinking. But Laura spoke without a beat. "We may have to." It was getting late, and Laura seemed tired, so Matt suggested he take her back home. As he walked her to the steps from the taxi, she grabbed his hand and looked up at him with a radiant smile. He would have loved to take her in his arms, carry her upstairs to bed, and make love to her right then, but it was way too soon. Plus, he didn't think she was that kind of woman, so instead he stroked the side of her cheek with the back of his fingers. Her skin was soft and inviting, and she smelled wonderful, a musky vanilla scent with a hint of something else. She inched closer to him, so he took her face in his hands and brought his lips to hers in a soft kiss. The instant their lips met, he felt this wave of emotion come over him, like his mouth had been waiting to collide with hers for centuries, and now that wait was over. He reluctantly pulled away, but Laura leaned in and pressed her lips to his with a little more intensity and desire. He held on to her tighter, and she relaxed into him as she put her arms around his neck. This felt so right. He parted his lips to invite her in, and she followed his lead by stroking his lower lip with her tongue. Their bodies melted together as their tongues explored. The passion rose between them. Matt wanted to ask her to go upstairs, but the need to do right by her and not push this as fast as he usually would with other women, he wanted it to be different with her. He couldn't explain why. He breathlessly pulled away and whispered, "It's getting late, and you need sleep. You have a long day with that Calvin Klein ad tomorrow. Your pictures are going to look great." He thought he saw a hint of disappointment in her eyes, but she smiled as she said, "I hope so. Those things make me nervous. I always worry they won't turn out as good as I hope." She paused for a moment. "Thanks for tonight. I had a great time." "I had a great time with you, Laura. Do you think we could go out again sometime?" "I'd like that very much," Laura said with this amazing smile that made Matt's heart melt. He gave her one last tender kiss and watched as she walked away into her apartment building. An ache rose in his chest as she left his sight. He needed to get a grip on his emotions. This girl was going to turn him into a mushy mess. He walked the 17 blocks to his place with his mind in the gutter, so he didn't even notice James until he'd almost run into him. "Don't scare me like that." "Sorry there, man, but I've been waiting here for a while." "You're so not on this planet right now, and you didn't even notice me. What's in your mind?" asked James. "You know the answer to that, seeing as you can read my mind and all." James laughed. "I know, but I figured maybe you'd rather pretend not to know and make it seem a little more normal." "Thanks, but I guess there are some things I'd rather you just know and I don't have to talk about. I mean, the way that woman makes me feel is crazy, and I don't understand it, you know?" "I guess I do in a way. Look on the bright side," James said with a mischievous smile. "This is why I'm here, so we can figure this out and help it make sense. Now, we don't have a ton of time, so let's travel down your next path, the one without Laura." "What? Already? But I haven't had enough time with her," Matt shrieked. "Dude, stop freaking out. Remember what I said? I'll be taking you back and forth between the life with and without Laura. You'll be returning to see more of the story, but for now we have to move on to check the other one. Let's go," James said as he put his hand out on Matt, pulled him towards their new destination. Chapter 3. Matt realized they transported to the front of his advertising agency building. "Here we are," James said. "Heads up, we're 6 months into your future without Laura. You work at the same job but have a surprise coming. I won't tell you what it is, and you have started casually dating Sarah, though it is not exclusive." "Well, you have fun." Matt turned to James in surprise. "That's it? That's all I get?" But it was too late. James disappeared and left Matt to fend for himself in this new territory. Well, how hard could it be? He would just go up as usual and see how it went. The worst that would happen is he'd look like an idiot. But then again, James said this isn't real, so he could do this. He entered the building and took the elevator to the 9th floor. He saw Melinda, the receptionist, as he stepped out, so he waved and said hello. She gave him her usual warm smile and waved back as he continued down the hall to his office. The usual people greeted him along the way as his tension melted and the comfort of a normal workday set in for him. Working his way to the spot where Laura sat, he got ready to give her a warm smile. As he turned the corner, he noticed someone other than Laura. Remembering she had left for home, her internship was up and he moved on with his life. This made Matt sadder than he expected, but he shook it off and said hi. To his surprise, she smiled as she got up from her desk and grabbed his tie to pull him in closer and planted a kiss on his lips. She looked up at him as she pulled away and smiled. "Good morning to you too, handsome." At a loss for words, he felt himself get a little red in the cheeks, not used to this display of affection. Hoping to hell this was the Sarah that James talked about. He noticed her nameplate on the corner of the desk. Yes, this was Sarah. Holy crap, he was going to get an ulcer this whole thing. She laughed at his expression. "Oh, Matt, relax and live a little. Besides, no one saw us. You don't have to worry about what the bosses think. You really aren't very good at this PDA thing. That's all right, though. It was fun to try it, and your reaction was priceless. Your cheeks are still pink. Now, go off to work. I'm busy," still laughing as she turned to sit down. She had exquisite long legs, a skinny waist, and such nice breasts. He wondered if they were real. He'd get used to this. She seemed crazier than he was used to, but then again, maybe he needed some crazy in his dull life. As he walked into his office, he saw nothing out of the ordinary. Most everything was in the same spot. He'd left it before his whole guardian destiny named James came into his life. He sat down and looked at the pictures on his desk. They appeared to be an ad for Converse shoes. The pictures were spectacular. He searched for the name of the person who took them when Bill walked in. "Hey man, what's going on?" "Not much, other than you seem way too calm for a guy about to make department manager. I'm jealous, man. But hey, you worked your ass off for this and you deserve it. Just don't forget about me when you make it big time," Bill said with a laugh. "Whoa, wait, what are you talking about?" Matt asked. "Don't be dumb, man. You know damn well what I mean. You've been working for this for months, remember? You managed to get your hands on that Tommy Hilfiger campaign, impressing the boss. Man, we scrambled for that one and all our work paid off. Ring any bells?" "Wait, I do remember that." Matt didn't believe it. This is the ad he worked on the reel yesterday when James came to him. He wanted it so badly, and what do you know, they got it, earning him a promotion. "Hold on. We both worked our asses off for that one. Why me and not you? I mean, you're the sweet talker. I know you had a lot to do with the deal going ahead." "You are nervous. Did you hit your head? Are you all right?" "How many times do I have to tell you, Matt? I don't want those big important job titles. I just want to have fun doing what I do best and making the big bucks. That's why I'm your right-hand man, and you taking me to the top with you. You do all the work, and I help you sweet talk to the finish," Bill said with a grin. "Come on, man. We gotta go. We have a meeting with the head of Adidas. We'll impress the hell out of them." "Do you have everything we need? I mean, are you the one presenting? You did say you're the one with the smooth talking skills." "Of course. Have you lost it? I always give the speeches, and you come in at the end with spectacular facts and figures to seal the deal. Now let's go. I want to make sure I get one of those amazing cupcakes they always order in for these kinds of meetings." An hour and a half later, Matt was thankful he'd always been excellent at bullshitting his way through anything. Bill had done a terrific job selling their ad ideas, with Matt adding in some great feedback. Their teamwork paid off again. They had the account in the bag. Bill followed him out, munching on another cupcake. "These are amazing. I want a dozen of these." "Better not. You need to watch your slim figure for all the ladies," Matt joked. "I didn't bring any lunch today, so it's fine," Bill laughed. "Let's go back to your office and write up the final notes." "Sounds good." Matt saw the photographs on his desk again, still curious who'd taken them. "Do you remember the photographer for the shoot?" Yeah, it was that intern, you know, the good-looking one you never dared to ask out for your rejection." "Why are you wondering?" "No reason. Just thought they looked great and was hoping to use her again for another shoot, but I guess not, since she's gone and all, right?" "You're really out of it today, man." "Yes, she's gone, remember? She moved back home like 5 months ago. Now let's get this done so we can attend our awesome meeting where you're told you're getting the big promotion and make it official. Then we head out early for a special job assignment, if you know what I mean." Working with Bill was one of the best parts of his job. The man worked like Shakespeare. He has such a way with words. Matt came up with the ideas and crunched numbers, but Bill made the sale. Could he ever not work with Bill? He didn't think so. Bill looked at his watch. "We need to get to this meeting fast and get out of here. You're messed in the head today, but don't worry. A little booze will fix that right up. You're behind, by the way, since you're going to be making all the big-time managerial money," Bill joked as he pushed Matt out of the office. Hours later, after much discussion, paperwork signing, and congratulatory pats on the back, a few more meetings, they headed out of the office on their way to an early dinner. They'd almost reached the elevators when Matt heard someone calling his name. He turned around to find Sarah. "Are we still up for tonight?" "Your place, 7, she asked. "I'll bring the food, you bring the entertainment," she said with a laugh, as she slapped him on the ass and walked away. "Seriously, dude, that girl is crazy. Is she as freakish I think she is? You're one lucky man getting to hit that every night." "You're right, I'm lucky." Matt realized this was turning out to be a great day. He got a promotion, had a sexy girlfriend who was up for anything. "Let's get something to drink, Bill." Bill and Matt drank for an hour before Charlie and Mike showed up. It was entertaining to listen to the stories about the last few months of what would have been Matt's life if he chose this path. Matt learned Sarah was a new recruit and had only been there a few months. He'd started dating her 2 weeks ago. It surprised him to hear that Mike had met this beautiful, successful journalist at a local celebrity basketball game for charity. A blonde, of course, and they'd been on a few dates. Matt was happy that Mike may have finally met someone who enjoyed him for who he was. Matt had a few more drinks before he had to be a chump and head out to enjoy an enticing night with Sarah. He couldn't wait to find out what she had in store. Matt reached his apartment just in time. He had 5 minutes to make sure he was presentable before Sarah showed up. She brought Chinese takeout with her and another little bag she said was for later. Then she shoved him down on the couch and straddled his lap. Matt went with it and pulled her in closer. She was hot, and he was not about to lose out on this opportunity, so he slid his hands up past her hips and under her white silk blouse. Her skin was soft and smooth under his hands, inviting him to touch more and explore every inch of her. As she reached up to undo his tie, she looked up at him and smiled. She was gorgeous, and right now she was all his. He stroked her skin with his hands and worked his way up to her luscious breasts and brushed his lips to hers. She parted her lips and caressed his with her tongue. He opened his mouth, and she slid to stroke inside. She tasted like strawberries, and her kiss was delicate but intoxicating. Matt let out a faint groan as she pressed her pelvis deeper into him, grabbed his shirt and ripped it open to reveal his sculpted chest. Reaching behind her back, he undid the lace bra, then cupped her breast in his hand as he kissed down her neck, unbuttoning the blouse with the other hand. Sarah slid her shirt and bra off. Matt gazed at her perfect breasts, with nipples so taut and inviting. Without hesitation, he leaned in and licked her left with his tongue as he rubbed the other with his fingers. She took in a sharp breath, urging him to keep going. He put his lips over her nipple and sucked as he caressed it with his tongue. She pushed her pelvis into him, begging for more as she ran her fingers through his hair. Matt licked and sucked her soft breasts until she trembled with pleasure. Sarah let out a relaxed, satisfied chuckle as she slid off of him, making her way down to his belt, looking at him with mischievous eyes as she pulled it free, undoing the buttons and zipper to earn access. She tugged at his pants and eased off the couch to help her bring them down past his hips. Hungrily, she went for his boxers and pulled them forward. Her tongue was like magic, and within minutes she brought him over the edge. Sarah pulled his boxers back over him as she smiled. "I'm hungry, and I brought your favorites. Let's get our energy back. We can work on dessert later," she said in a husky voice as she buttoned up her shirt while making a beeline toward the boxes of food. Matt flushed with embarrassment at her casual demeanor after what had happened between them, but he thought maybe this is how it always was with her. He could get used to it. She came back with their dinner and turned on the television to a basketball game. He was in awe for a moment. She brought dinner and preferred to watch sports. She was amazing. Sarah looked over at him. "You have the goofiest look on your face, and you're staring at me. What's up?" "Oh, nothing. You're so hot, and I'm just in awe." "I know. I'm awesome." She laughed. "Now can we eat? I've been looking forward to this game all week." "Sure thing." He sat back and let himself relax, getting into the game. The Knicks were kicking the Lakers' butts for once, and it was a magnificent day. After a couple of hours yelling at the TV and joking around, the game ended with the play of a lifetime. The Knicks threw a Hail Mary shot with 2 seconds left to win the game. After their celebration, Sarah turned to Matt. "Now I'm ready for dessert. Earlier was just a teaser, and now I want more." She took his hand and pulled him towards the bedroom. "Get naked, and I'll be right back." She walked into the bathroom as she took off her shirt. Matt did as she said and was on the bed waiting when she reappeared and took his breath away. He'd never been so turned on by lingerie in his life. He loved everything he saw. Long, black fishnet stockings attached to a garter vest that tied up the front, barely keeping her swollen breasts inside, hot and all his, though he was a little worried about the cuffs and whip in her hands and hoped they were just for show. "You've been a bad boy, Matt, and I'm going to teach you a lesson." Oh no, he thought. What did he get himself into? What do you mean? I've been good, I think. "No, Matt, you need to be punished, and you're going to like it." "You're not going to actually use those things, are you? It'll hurt, and I'm not into that sort of thing in the bedroom, if you know what I mean. How about we just play nice and have fun without the toys?" "Oh, Matt, then it wouldn't be fun. And besides, you promised this time we'd do what I wanted. Now come on, let's try it out. You never know, you may like it," she said as she reached for his hands and cuffed them to the bed. This was not at all what he expected, but he'd give it a try. Who knows? After what happened in the living room, she may surprise him again. "Okay, but if it gets to be too much and I say stop, you'll stop, right?" "Sure, Matt, whatever you want. This will be fun. You wait and see." She cupped the other hand to the bed, then flicked the whip in the air, producing a popping sound that made Matt almost want to cry it out stop before things even began. She slid off the bed and whipped him a little light snap on the thigh. Matt winced a little, though it was not as bad as he'd expected. She walked around the room, ripping the air as she went. He flinched when she struck his hip, but was a little aroused. She jumped on him and rubbed his chest hard, working her way down to him. Another lash hit him in the torso, more intense, before her mouth engulfed him in one full motion and her teeth viciously scraped him on their way back up. His body could not decide whether to scream in pain or pleasure. When her mouth went down on him again, she grabbed his precious jewels and gave him a squeeze as she came back up again. The whip thrashed him on the arm this time, making him yelp in pain, which made her groan in pleasure. So she did it again with more force. Matt yelled, "Stop, please, stop, that hurts." Sarah let out a laugh. "I guess you've had enough punishment for tonight." She took her time removing each stocking and untying her corset one notch at a time till it popped open to free her supple breasts. She climbed on top of his thighs as her fingers trailed along his arms and down his chest, moving straight past his prized possessions till it reached her own. Pleasuring herself, she let out a moan and gyrated with the movement of her fingers. Matt had never seen a woman do this to herself in person before and loved every minute. Looking at him, she guided herself down, surrounding him with her warmth. Matt's hands craved her skin, so soft and inviting. She was so free, giving him her all and bringing him along for the ride. Finished together as she let out a moan. Matt wanted to lay there and enjoy the moment, maybe go for round 2, but she rolled off of him and headed for the bathroom. It was a few minutes before she reappeared dressed and walked toward the door. "I have a long day tomorrow and I need to get rest, so I'm going to head out." "Wait, aren't you going to unlock these things?" Matt cried out in panic. She laughed as she walked back. "Of course, silly. I was just teasing." She uncuffed him, gave him a kiss, and headed back out again. "Thanks for tonight, sexy. Can't wait till next time. We can get even crazier." She blew him a kiss and walked out the door. Matt was speechless. What just happened? That was crazy and sadistic, and he couldn't decide if it had been one of the greatest nights of his life or the worst. He'd been satisfied like never before, but felt used as he lay there all by himself, naked and abused. What would happen next time, he wondered? What was crazier than that? He was not sure if he wanted to find out. Getting up, he replayed the whole scene over in his head, still baffled by Sarah's behavior and how shocked yet ecstatic he was about the whole situation. He brushed his teeth and got back into bed. Where was James? Shouldn't he be here by now to whisk him off to some other destination far into the future? Oh well, he was wicked tired and needed some sleep. James would just have to wake him up. "Already thinking about me and missing me, huh? Now isn't that cute? By the way, that chick is smoking hot and crazy, just the way I like him. You are one lucky bastard in this life. What the hell is so hard to decide here? Now put some clothes on so we can hit the road." James threw him some jeans and a t-shirt. "She might be hot, but the crazy might be a little too much for me. I'm tired and need sleep. Can't just wait a few hours?" asked Matt. "Sorry, man, we have to get through this, and time's a-wasting. Besides, once we get to your destination, you'll be fresh and rested, like you just slept like a baby for 8 hours straight. That's what happens when you pass through the phase. It's like a recharge button. You're good as new. Now let's go. Laura's waiting." "She is?" Matt asked with a grin as he got dressed. His stomach flip-flopped with excitement to see her again. "How far ahead is it going to be this time?" "Well, from the information I have, it seems to be 4 months down the line from your first date. It looks as though she extended her internship for a few months to be with you. Things seem to be going well, but you're not yet promoted in this path." "Let's do this," James said as he placed his hand on Matt's shoulder. Matt felt that pull, and they were gone. Chapter 4. They appeared in front of Laura's apartment. James turned to Matt. "You're taking Laura to the Broadway show Rent. Lucky you. And then you're headed to the Loring Augustine Art Gallery on 24th Street. She's always wanted to see that show, and her favorite photographer is showing at the gallery. It looks like you left your balls at home and are doing whatever you can to please her. Dude, in this path, you really are a mushy bastard, but I guess that's what you do when you're in love or lust or whatever." "Love? What? I'm not in love. I mean, I've only spent a few months with this woman. That's way too short of a time for me to fall in love. She's a great woman, and I guess I'm just trying to impress her or something. Who knows, maybe this show is terrific." "Whatever, dude, I'm just saying. Gotta go, man, but hey, you have fun." Poof, he was gone. It still creeped Matt out that James could do that. What were things like between Laura and him now that they'd dated a couple months? Had he said "I love you" yet? He doubted that. Had they had sex yet? Why did she stay longer in New York? Did she still plan on moving away? He'd have to find out. With sweaty palms, Matt pushed the button. Laura buzzed him in. He yearned to see her again and was about to knock when the door swung open and she threw her arms around him, planting a kiss on his lips. He wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her close, not wanting it to end. This time the kiss was more intense, like she'd been waiting days to kiss him, and now she drank him in. He loved it. Laura leaned back, smiling up at him. "I'm so glad you're here. I missed you." Those words and that smile made him melt. "I'm happy to see you too. You know, we don't have to go out tonight. We can just stay home and continue with this." She laughed. "We could, but I've been looking forward to this night for a while. I promise you'll have a good time and we can continue this later, okay?" "Yeah, I just got caught up in the moment." "You're so cute, Matt. You let me know I'm special and wanted. I know it's been months and things are moving slow, probably slower than you're used to, and I appreciate it. I don't like how fast people get into bed in relationships and just want everything to progress at a comfortable pace. Kissing you makes me weak in the knees, and I love every minute of touching you and being with you. We'll get there. We can go as slow as you want. I'm in no rush. You ready to go?" "The show does not start till 7, and it's 4 now, so I figured we'd stop and try some Mongolian food on the way. I remember you said you tried it once and loved it, so I found this great place not too far from here." "That sounds great." She grabbed her coat. 2 hours later, they grabbed a taxi to the theater. The food was delicious, cooked on a grill right in front of them. They'd gotten very close in the past few months, sharing dreams and talking about the future, something he didn't usually do. Even though Matt never brought women around his friends, Laura had hung out with all of them. The conversation had been easy and flowed naturally. Though not a huge fan of Broadway, he enjoyed his time with her and doing things she liked. It astounded him, the satisfaction he received from her happiness. Throughout the show, he'd glance her way, smiling at her pure joy shown on her face. She was beautiful beyond words, even when she cried at the end. When they showed up at the lowering Augustine, he was expecting boring, artsy crap he'd imagine would be typical for an art gallery, but was surprised at the broad scope and talent. They saw sculpture of what he assumed to be a couple in a very private moment, arms and legs all intertwined, more magical than sexual. Contemporary art was everywhere. He liked the three-dimensional pieces that made you really envision what the artist meant. But the photographs were Laura's favorite. Pictures at various angles represented all walks of life. Even the paintings, usually a total bore for Matt, called out to you, demanding you take notice. They ran into the artist towards the end of the night, and Laura fell into an easy conversation with him. Her curiosity and interpretations of the meanings in his work thrilled him. Since Matt had no clue what they were talking about most of the time, it made him feel like a third wheel, annoying him even more since this was his date and she was his girlfriend. Thinking about this enraged him till he realized that he was jealous over a supposed connection between two complete strangers in a life that really wasn't even happening. At least he told himself this to calm down. Eventually Laura and Carlos had talked long enough that most of the guests left, so they parted ways. Naturally, they had to exchange contact info, which pissed off Matt, but whatever. He was walking away with the girl. They took a taxi back to Laura's place. The conversation on the way comprised of Laura talking about the art show and Matt grunting acknowledgments once in a while. He was still not happy about his woman and that artsy guy. As they sat down on her couch, Laura turned to Matt. "What's wrong? Didn't you have a good time?" "Of course I did. I'm fine." "You don't seem fine. I mean, you're usually quiet, but you're never this quiet. Seriously, what's up?" "I'm annoyed at your flirtation with Carlos." Laura smiled. "You think I was flirting? You know how I'm passionate about art, and his work fascinates me. I'd hoped to learn something from talking with him. Boy, are you cute when you got all jealous, all pouty and moping around because you feel threatened by another man." "I was not threatened. It sure seemed like flirting to me." "Well, Matt, you have nothing to worry about, okay? You're the one I want to flirt with. And besides, he's not even good looking." She gave him a little shove. "You're the only man for me. Don't you realize that?" "I guess it got the best of me, seeing you have such a personal conversation with another man about something you're so passionate about that I know nothing about. I had the best time with you tonight. You took me to the Broadway show I've been dying to see, with amazing seats that I don't know how you managed to get, and went to see my favorite artist, even though you don't get into art. You're the best, and you should never worry about another upstaging you. You make me feel amazing, and beautiful, and loved. Nothing could top you, Matt. I love you." She looked down, fidgeting with her fingers. "Laura, I love you too. Did he just say that out loud?" She looked up at him, eyes beaming as she threw her arms around him and gave him the most intense kiss. He added to that passion with his own, letting go of any fears he had about her commitment. Their hands were going wild, tongues caressing tongues, lips kissing all over. Laura unbuttoned his shirt, working her way down, caressing his chest as she went. Then she slid it off his arms and threw it on the floor. When she reached for a zipper, he couldn't control himself any longer and ripped off her shirt, giving him access to her perfect, perky breasts. She moaned at his touch, which he took as an invitation to remove her lacy bra. She was perfect, smooth olive skin that his hands begged to touch, and such a look of love on her face, all for him. It took all of his control when she reached into his boxers, but he kept his cool, picked her up, and carried her to the bedroom. When he placed her on the bed, the need in her eyes awoke the animal within. He peeled off his jeans and boxers as she slid out of her skirt, leaving her in sexy black panties. Matt climbed onto the bed and she wrapped her arms around him to pull him for a kiss. Legs entwined, fingers caressing, tongue stroking lips. Perfect breasts were pressed up against him. As Laura wrapped her leg around his hips, he rolled on top of her and kissed down her neck, inching his way slowly toward her breast, savoring her salty skin. In need of more, he kissed his way down to nuzzle her. She moaned in pleasure, so he rushed to remove her panties, enthralled by her sweet honey. He licked and sucked, then entered her with his tongue. She arched into him, so wet and inviting. The moment he slid inside was the greatest bliss he'd ever known. She encompassed him completely, as if she was meant to fit him. A groan escaped his lips as he thrust in and out slowly, relishing every moment. Wanting it to last longer, he forced himself to slow down and focus on her pleasure. In and out, he went slowly, pushing deeper. "Oh, Matt, you feel so good. You were made for me." She moaned as he quickened his pace, pushing harder and further, causing her to cry out in ecstasy as they came together. It was perfect and passionate. He wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close, and whispered into her ear, "I love you." She had his heart. It freaked him out, but delighted him at the same time. "I love you too. That was magical. Thank you for waiting till I was ready. It was worth it. I would do anything for you, Laura." And in that moment, he meant it. They fell asleep in each other's arms, but when Matt woke up the next day, he was in a strange bed, in a strange apartment. What the hell? Chapter 5. Matt looked around for a clue as to whose place this was. After a few minutes of investigation, he realized that most of the items in the room were his, but this was not his old apartment. He had a spectacular view of Central Park now. The scene got better as he walked up at his bedroom into a vast open loft. Like it had appeared out of his dreams. Huge, open, contemporary living room with wall-sized entertainment center, bar and pool table sat in the corner of the massive room. To the left, he spotted a bachelor-type kitchen, all stainless steel appliances, dark colors, and his very own beer cooler and tap. How awesome was this? For as long as he could remember, he'd wanted a place just like this. How the hell did this happen? "Well, you work hard and you go places, right, Matt?" James appeared out of nowhere. Matt whipped around. "You scare the shit out of me, man. Don't do that. You're gonna give me a heart attack." "Sorry, man. At some point, you'll get used to me just showing up with a poof." "It's all good." Matt was utterly happy at the moment. "So what's going on? How did I get these digs?" "So, you remember the last time you were on this path, you just got a promotion and were doing some freaky things with Sarah? Yeah, you don't need to bring that up again. This time, it's about a year later. You've been doing pretty well for yourself, landing a few big clients, which means you can afford this awesome bachelor pad. Lucky you. Though you don't have a steady girlfriend. Just occasional acquaintances, if you know what I mean. And no, Sarah is not one of them. I, for one, think your setup is ideal. No woman telling you what to do, all this to yourself. Hell, even I want to stick around." James laughed. "I don't blame you. This place is rockin'. I've always wanted an apartment like this. It seems crazy that it's all mine." "Well, I guess in this life it's mine." Matt turned to James. "This whole process is crazy, and it's so hard to even wrap my mind around it all. How do most people react to this?" "It seems to be different with everyone in each situation. Some people have the time of their life and take advantage of the opportunities. Others seem to just take it in stride and find a way to really learn from the whole experience. Yet some have a hard time dealing with the daily changes and don't know how to accept or believe it. I've even had people quit the whole process early, not being able to deal with it at all. But don't worry, in the end, it'll be worth it. I show up in a different time or place each time. It's hard to get used to. Yeah, but in the end, you get a very good idea of which path is really the one for you. You get to live your future. How often does that happen? Never. Now, Matt, here's some small advice. Listen, learn, ask questions, then decide. Don't worry about it too much right now. Well, I'm trying my best to get the most out of this experience, so I'm ready for what's next. What's out there waiting for me this time? It's Thursday, and you have a normal day at work so far. Then tonight you're going to a cocktail party for Victoria's Secret, which means I am quite jealous of you for the first time since we met. Boy, would I love to be you tonight. Have some fun for the both of us. Nice, that'll be fun. Is there anything else I should know about? Not much. Bill is still your right-hand man, and will be here for you. Typical day, paperwork, meetings, all that, and no date for the party, but that's a plus in my book. I gotta run. Keep your cool and go with it, man. Have fun, but learn. See ya. Okay, here we go again. A new adventure every day, Matt thought to himself as he got ready. When he arrived at work, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but noticed new people and advertisements here and there. He headed to his assumed office and was glad to spot his name still on the door. An attractive brunette woman smiled up at him from the desk close to his office. Good morning, Matt. Here are your messages and your schedule for the day. Let me know if you need anything. Thank you, and good morning to you too. Matt searched the desk and found her name. Claudia? No problem. I'll be here if you need me. Matt sighed with relief when he recognized all the context in his messages and had a good idea of what they were about. As he sat down, the phone rang. Matt speaking. Oh, good. I caught you. It was his boss, Joseph. I received a call from Patrick Dempsey's agent. He has a new fragrance out and likes our work, so he'd like us to present him with a few ideas for a new campaign. They're only here for today. Our meeting is in 3 hours. I want you and Bill on this one. Got it? We'll be there and ready. Great. I knew I could count on you. Joseph hung up. This was a crazy start to the day. It was the first time he had to figure out a pitch and deliver it within such a short time. Excited to get to work, he called Bill. Hey man, you ready for tonight? Should be a heck of a time. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So hey, Joe called me and said he set up a meeting in a few hours with Patrick Dempsey to convince him to sign us for his new fragrance ad. No shit? Cool, I like that guy. I'm in. I'll do my research and be in your office in half an hour. Sounds great, Bill, thanks. Dreaming up glorious ways to sell products came naturally to Matt. By the time Bill came in, he planned out 3 different ads. Bill looked over his shoulder and whistled. You're good, man. I found Patrick's favorite foods and sent Claudia on a mission to get them delivered in time for the meeting. This guy is seriously into racing, his health, and adores his family. We should just play it straight. No sugarcoating or brown-nosing. He came to us, so we need to give him our best ideas and have him mull them over. We should take him seriously and give his thoughts much consideration, treating him as an equal. Nice. I could use your help on polishing these up. For the next 2 hours, they tweaked and edited the ad layouts, adding in optional pieces here and there. They headed to set everything up in the conference room with 5 minutes to spare. Claudia had all the food waiting when Joe walked in with Patrick and his people a few minutes before the meeting. They gave their speech, and 45 minutes later they were back in Matt's office making the final adjustments to send for Patrick's okay. Man, that was awesome. Matt cherished the thrill of the sell. He loved his job. They had impressed Patrick, and he asked that only a few minor adjustments be made to the ads. That went amazing. Patrick is a likable guy and easy to deal with, unlike some other celebrities we've worked with in the past. Good work selling it. They seemed to fit what he was looking for, Bill said. Yeah, but you're the one that won him over with the gifts of food. He got a kick out of that. Good man. Good call, man. Yeah, I thought that might work to our advantage. I have to split and do a few things before we leave tonight, Bill said as he left the office. Matt noticed Bill stop and chat with Claudia on his way out. He said something that made her laugh and blush. Matt wondered what that was all about, but figured he had too much on his own plate to worry about what Bill was up to. The rest of the day involved boring edits, mulling over a few ads, too much paperwork, and so many phone calls. But it was an element he was comfortable in, even if it could get boring. At 4, Matt decided to put on his Calvin Klein tux, one of the many outfits he kept stored at work for days like this. You never know when you need to look good, Bill would always say, and it had been useful over the past few years. Matt passed Claudia on the way to Bill's office. Good night, she said with a wave. Night, see you tomorrow. She was pretty, thought Matt, and she smiled a lot. Bill came walking out as he got closer. Ready to have the best time of your life? I'm ready to set my sights on a beautiful woman in tight clothes. Let's go. You look good. New suit? Matt asked. Yeah, Bill laughed. Do I remember? I told you about it yesterday. Oh yeah, my bad. I forgot. Well, women will be all over you, Matt fumbled. I guess. I'm just looking to have some fun. Let's go. The party was happening when they got there. They grabbed some drinks and started to mingle. Matt saw beautiful half-dressed women everywhere he looked. Nice. Bill nodded his head in agreement. This should be a fun night. I'm going to let loose and enjoy myself, using my sly skills to attract a beautiful woman, Matt said with a smile. Right. What are all these sly skills you're talking about? I don't remember ever seeing them. Okay, I don't possess great skills, but tonight's going to be different. It'll all work out, and I'll be leaving here with someone. You wait and see. Laughing, Bill said, good luck. I can't wait to see you in action. I'm sure it won't be anywhere near your capabilities, with all the charm and perfect white smile, but then again, nobody will ever match your skills. Well, at least tonight, you won't have me to compete with. I'll lay low and have a good time. So with me out of the picture, your chances are much better, Bill laughed. Nice to know. Maybe you can use those charm skills to my advantage, help swing the ladies my way. No chances, man. You must do this one on your own. All right, let's see what we have here. Matt looked around, eyeing gorgeous leggy blonde, all alone by the pyramid of champagne glasses. And here we are. And stand back, Bill. Watch me work. He heard Bill chuckle as he walked off, but ignored him. This would work. He found his way to the woman and tried to get her attention by reaching for a glass near her arm. She looked up at him. Nice party. Was all he got. Okay, let's try this again. Do you come to these often? He asked. This is my first, she said without looking at him. Are you a model? This time she looked at him with disgust written all over her face. Of course I'm a model. What do I look like to you, a waitress? And with that she spun around and stomped off. Stupid, stupid, stupid. How can he be so stupid? He always said the wrong things without even trying. As he turned around, he found Bill had his attention on a woman and had not noticed Matt's epic fail. As he walked over, Bill gave him a wink. So Matt, you remember Lisa? She's the marketing director for Victoria's Secret. I sure do. How have you been, Lisa? Good. Even better now that this new campaign is finally launched. It's been a lot of work. Thanks for all your help. That's what we're here for. Nice party, by the way. Thanks. The models like the attention, and the men want to give it, so it works out well and people have a good time. Usually lasts all night, too, so I hope you're ready. Do you work through it all, or will you get to enjoy the party? Matt asked. I must do the whole meet and greet, but once that's all done, I get to let loose. That's good. Hate to have you working the whole night and not have any fun. Matt tried his best to flirt, but knew he was getting nowhere. Lisa had always caught his eye. She was confident, beautiful, and smart. Perfect combination for a woman. You'll have to excuse me. I see someone I have to talk to, but I'll find you guys later. Wow, Bill, she's a great woman. Hot and confident, exactly what I like. You said you're going all out on that blonde over there. What happened, man? Bill grinned. I decided she was too much for me. Bill punched Matt in the shoulder. Sure, man, whatever. You can tell whatever story makes you feel better. Anyway, I'm going to place all my bets on Lisa tonight. What should I do about that woman? You need to play it nice with that one. I like her and don't want to lose that business relationship over a bad one-night stand. Bill, you know me better than that. I'm not about one-night stands. I've just had some really bad dates recently. Okay, whatever. Just be good to her. Got that? Yeah, I got it. Matt dropped the issue. Bill was serious, but he was not looking for a one-night stand. His mind drifted back to Laura and his last day with her. How could he take Lisa home when in another potential life he had such a serious thing going on with another woman? It was almost like cheating on her. Matt shook his head. He couldn't think like that. James told him to make the most of the situation, and this was what he planned to do. None of this is real, and he needed to find out what was best for him. They continued to mingle for another hour, finding various potential clients and running into quite a few acquaintances from the businesses. The food was spectacular, and drinks kept coming, so they kept drinking. By the time they ran into Lisa again, Matt had more confidence thanks to all the booze. Well, hello there, beautiful. I was hoping we'd find you again. I've been lost without you. Matt attempted a joke. Lisa laughed. You seem to be having fun, and you found some of the good wine. May I? Matt filled her glass with a bottle he'd confiscated from one of the young waitresses earlier. Yes, it's superb wine, and a great party. You having fun? It's been all right, but now I can relax and celebrate. My work here is done, and I think my night will get a whole lot better. She winked at Matt, which made him blush. He smiled back. That's good to hear. My fun is over for tonight. I'm headed out, said Bill with an amused tone. Once again, Bill had saved him from saying something embarrassing. How'd that man always know when he was about to say something to make an ass of himself? Are you sure you want to leave? Lisa asked. The night's still young and there's a lot of wine left. Busy day tomorrow, and I'm a bear to deal with if I haven't gotten enough sleep. That's true. He can be such a jerk when he's tired, Matt said with a laugh. I guess Matt and I will have to make it a night without you. You'll be missing out. Let's go have some fun, Lisa. Matt waved at Bill and led her towards the dance floor. Matt was not a dancer, but most women love to dance, and he assumed Lisa was not the exception. The minute they hit the floor, she gave him a wicked smile. They danced to the next 2 songs. He guessed that having a few drinks in him really helped him let loose and enjoy himself. Lisa looked like she was having a good time. By the time the song was over, Lisa was laughing. I need another drink, so she led him to the bar. That was fun. Thanks, Matt. Where'd you learn to dance like that? I guess I just went with it. To be honest, I never dance. I always feel so awkward out there. Why, did I look like an idiot? Lisa smiled. No way, I was impressed. Matt decided to believe her. Why, thank you. They'd finished off their drinks when a Def Leppard song came on, which made Lisa squeal with delight and pull him onto the dance floor. Pour Some Sugar on Me had always been a favorite of his. But now, he had a whole new appreciation for the song. A few beats in, and Lisa was all upon him, grinding on his hips with the music. Matt put his arm around her waist to pull her in, moving his hips with hers, moving to the music, trying not to screw it up. With his other hand, he caressed up her leg until he reached her butt, pulling her a little closer. She melted into him, her lips a few inches from his. He wanted to lick them, to taste her, and leaned closer, breathing her sweetness in. Then suddenly the song was over and she pulled away laughing. That was fun. I haven't danced like that for years. She pulled him to the bar again, excusing herself along the way. Matt hoped like hell he'd not made her uncomfortable and that she was not leaving because of him. He waited impatiently with her drink until she came back smiling, so he relaxed. I'm having a great time, but it's time for me to head home. Oh, okay, Matt said with disappointment. I guess you're right, it's late. You want me to walk you out? I like that. Lisa grabbed her coat and they found their way outside. I live a few blocks that way. Would you walk me home? Sure. Wouldn't want you out here all alone this time of night. Matt regretted the words the moment came out of his mouth, but Lisa just laughed and smiled at him, leading the way. He wanted to open his mouth to talk as they walked, but everything he had to say sounded dumber than the last, so he said nothing, wondering if that made it even worse. Finally, they were at her door. I had a great time. Maybe we can do it again sometime. He looked at her, hopeful he hadn't blown it. Well, I was hoping the night was not over yet. Want to come up? Matt grinned. That sounds great. She grabbed his hand and led him to the elevator. When the doors closed, she threw her arms around his neck and kissed him. He wrapped his arms around her waist and pulled her in close. Her tongue pressed his lips, so he let her in, pressing her mouth with his. Her need for him consumed him, pushing into him like she couldn't get close enough. He almost lost his control before the doors opened, and reluctantly she pulled away, leading him to her apartment. Once they got in, she turned around, smiling at him. He grabbed her butt, lifting her onto him as he carried her to the bedroom. She ripped off his shirt to lick his chest and rubbed her fingers over every inch of him. They fell to the bed, and he hurriedly undid her shirt as she pulled at his belt. His fingertips ran along her soft skin as he slid off her skirt. She tasted good on his lips, and he needed more. He entered her slowly, making her moan with pleasure. It was heaven, wetness and warmth surrounding him. She pushed into him, and with each motion she moaned louder, taking all of him into her and loving every minute. He plunged into her until she screamed with release. She relaxed under him as he eased onto his side next to her. Let's do that again, only this time I'm on top, she said as she climbed onto him. The second time was even better than the first, with her in control. She took her time and knew what she was doing to him, each and every move. He liked to watch her move on top of him, knowing what she wanted. Lisa rolled off Matt onto her side. I needed that. Life can get so hectic. You need a release. I know what you mean. That was nice, Matt said as he snuggled closer to her. I'm exhausted. What a day. We should get some sleep. It's late. He pulled the covers over them and relaxed into bed. He was worn out and would fall asleep fast in his warm bed next to a hot, naked woman. To be honest, Lisa said with hesitation, I'm not used to sharing my bed. Neither am I, but we're so tired it probably won't matter. Yeah, but I hog the covers and toss and turn a lot. Matt chuckled. You trying to kick me out of this warm, comfy bed? Don't worry about me. I'll sleep fine. I know you'll be okay. I'm just saying we both might sleep better in our own beds. Oh, okay, sure. Matt got up, realizing what she was getting at. Will I see you again soon? He asked as he pulled on his pants. Sure, I'll see you around. I had a great time, she said as she rolled over, burying her face deeper in the pillow. Me too. He finished buttoning his shirt and slipped on his shoes. I'm going now. Night, she muffled from bed. Matt walked out of her building. He figured he got what he deserved for all those years of doing what he wanted without taking into account how the women felt. He hailed a taxi and headed home, hoped the next day would end better. James looked on from the shadows with a smirk on his face, loving every minute of Matt's roller coaster ride, thinking he would let the next few daytime adventures take their toll. Chapter 6. Good morning, handsome. Matt's eyes popped open to find Laura looking down on him, smiling. Filled with delight, he pulled her close, pressing his lips to hers. Laura pushed her body closer to his and wrapped her arms around his neck. He reveled in her soft skin on his, her tongue penetrating his mouth. His hands memorized her every curve, a growing need within him. He grabbed her leg and pulled it up around his hip. His fingers caressed her moist curls. She was so wet and ready for him. Matt rubbed his finger up and down her folds as she moaned with pleasure. Overcome with need, he slowly entered her. She pressed herself closer to him. Her reaction to him, her need for him matching his own, only enhanced his desire. Laura let out a deep moan as he gave himself to her. He tried to be gentle and go slow, wanting to please her. Her body reacted to his in a way he'd never experienced. Sensing she was close, he took her breast into his mouth and sucked until he pushed her over the edge. This was a great way to wake up, Matt thought, as he lay there, content in her arms. His mind replayed the events as her naked skin caressed his. Laura chuckled when he cupped her breast in his palm and kissed her luscious lips. Don't get too excited. It's your first day Anderson Appetizing, so we need to get going. First day? I know you're skeptical about this whole move and the new job, but you'll love it. I'm sure of it. Give it a try. What had James gotten him into now? It should be great, not convincing himself. I'm going to take a shower now. He found the bathroom and whispered, James, I need to talk to you. Yes, Your Majesty? Matt jumped at the voice behind him. Damn it, man. You always scare the crap out of me. You're the one that called for me. I know, sorry. I'm out of whack here and need a little info. What does Laura mean about me moving and a new job? What's going on here? Here goes. Laura was moving back to Minnesota in this path you were said, so she stayed a few extra months for you, after which you decided you couldn't live without her, leaving your perfect job and wonderful life to move here to good old suburbs of St. Paul, Minnesota. You found a job with a local ad agency and your first day is today. The end. Wow. That's news. The things people do for love. I guess it's only temporary, right? I can do this. Yeah, temporary. Remember, go with it. Have fun. Learn. Just try not to act like a douche and you'll be fine. Right. Thanks. I'm a little less freaked out now. All right, I'm going to go before you start taking off what little clothes you have on now, and I can't take back what I see. See ya. Matt got in the shower, tried not to psych himself out, reminding himself to have fun since none of it really matters in the end. This will be fine, he said to himself. Let's do this. He got out and found his favorite pinstripe Hilfiger suit in the attached closet, happy to find something familiar. He heard Laura call out, Breakfast is almost ready. A morning quickie and breakfast? He could get used to this. Matt made his way to the kitchen, admiring the coziness of the apartment. Hey, handsome, you look great. They'll love you, Laura said as she leaned in to kiss him. Thanks. Bubbly and happy personality made her so easy to love. It should be fun. It will be. I know it. Let's eat. I'm starving, and I have to head to work, too. How's your job been going lately? He asked curiously. Great. I love it. Taking pictures every day of families and weddings. It's exactly what I always wanted to do. That's great. Not everyone can say they love their job. You're lucky. I am. I'm lucky in many ways, including having you in my life. Matt smiled. We're lucky. He leaned down and kissed her, pulling her into his arms and pressing his body to hers. She pushed him away. No. We need to eat. He laughed. All right. smells delicious." 30 minutes later, he was on his way to Anderson Agency. He made it to work in less than 15 minutes thanks to his GPS. He loved a short commute and enjoyed his new ride, the envoy he'd always wanted but never needed in New York. As he walked to the door, he reminded himself that this was a dry run and not to worry. He needed to let loose. The secretary smiled at him as he walked in. "Good morning, Mr. Andrews. How are you today?" "Great, thanks." "Well, I hope that your first day is a good one. Let me walk you to your office." "Thanks, I'm ready to get to work." "We're very excited you joined us. With all of your previous experience, you'll do wonders for our family-oriented agency. We can learn a lot from you. Here you are. Please let me know if you need anything else. Oh, and there's coffee down the hall to your right. Make yourself comfortable, and Marcus will find you around 9:30. "Sounds great, thank you." Matt realized he didn't know where to begin. He had nothing to put away and had nothing to work on, so he went to get coffee. Expecting the worst, he was surprised to find an array of beverage choices. He was in heaven and had trouble deciding between coffee, latte, espresso, juice, soda, smoothie, or more. Matt decided to make a nice double-shot espresso. That would light a fire in him all day. The aroma awakened his senses. Intent on the coffee making, he was completely unaware of anyone entering the room till she tapped him on the shoulder. He almost dropped his delectable creation. "Oh, I'm sorry." She was a nice-looking older lady with red hair and green eyes. "That's okay. I get caught up in my own world sometimes. I'm Matt." "I figured that's who you were. It's a small company, and a new guy gets noticed," she said with a smile. "We've all seen your work and are delighted you're here. My name's Phyllis." "Thanks, good to be here. I'm already enjoying the delicious drink options." "Yeah, Marcus loves coffee and shakes and all kinds of goodies and believes that if you feed the sugar coffee monster within, your work benefits. But we all know he's just addicted to sweets and needs to make sure they're always available. We don't complain." She pointed to the fridge and cupboards. "With all the unlimited sweets, Marcus also believes we need to maintain good health, so there's a gym on the second floor. He's a good guy, and it makes you happy to come to work. We hope you like it here. It's nice to meet you, Matt." "You too." Today kept getting better. All you can eat sweets and unlimited coffee, then you get to work it off at the gym later? Nice. Hopefully the work was bearable. Oh well, it's not like he'd be here long. He headed off to his office and decided to do an internet search on this Anderson Agency. An hour later, he was not as excited about the company as he was about the coffee. Turns out the agency only dealt with small firms and local accounts with mediocre ad development and placement. Not as exciting as Victoria's Secret or Hilfiger dealings in New York. No real glamour here, but what did he expect from Minnesota? Just then an older, average-looking gentleman walked in. "Matt, it's great to have you on board. We can't wait to get your hands on some of our accounts. Have you gotten settled in okay?" "Yep, everything's nice, and I've already enjoyed Coffee Land." Marcus laughed. "Good. I do have a sweet tooth." "So do I," Matt said with a devilish grin. "Well, I'm headed to a meeting. Want to come?" Marcus asked. Matt was surprised by Marcus and Anderson Agency in the meeting. They were working on a billboard ad for a local teen hangout, which turned out to be a much-needed resource for local teens in need of a place to turn to other than substance abuse or petty crime. At first, the lack of marketability turned him off, but Matt quickly changed his mind. The two parents who started the hangout had lost their 15-year-old son to street violence a year earlier and were passionate about giving kids a place to turn to over the pressures on the street. Their excitement over the possibility of improving teen turnout and an opportunity to open more establishments was contagious. Within 20 minutes of hearing their pitch, he was sucked in and ready to roll up his sleeves and get busy. After a few hours, they had a solid start, and everyone was excited to get moving on the campaign. The whole group had also accepted Matt's idea to pay for advertisement within the schools, knowing that would be the best way to inform kids, while benefiting the local schools. It felt good to be a part of a great cause and get the whole team on the same page, almost like a family unit working together. As Matt walked into the apartment after work, he smelled something delicious, making his mouth water, but forgetting about it once he discovered petals on the floor leading to the bedroom. Delighted, he followed them to find Laura sprawled on the bed in sexy lingerie with petals surrounding her and candles lit all around the room. "Welcome home," she said in a low, raspy voice. "Hello," he managed. "Surprised?" she laughed. "Yes, happily surprised. I assumed you had a great day and wanted to add to that." "It was fun and just got 10 times better," he said as he tore off his jacket and crawled into bed. "Wait a minute, I have another surprise. You sit in that chair over there." You're in for a treat. He sat down as she slid out of bed and sauntered over to the dresser. He heard music start as she started an erotic dance. This was sexy as hell. Making her way to Matt, she dropped down to the floor in front of him and came back up, rubbing against him along the way. This was going to drive him crazy. Her hands ran through his hair as she shimmered around him. He reached for her legs, but she pushed his hands away, shaking her head. No touching, she said with a smile and grinding on his lap to the music, knowing full well the effect she was having on him. It got even harder to keep his cool when she got up and put her foot on the chair between his legs, caressing her leg as she slowly took off her tights. Laura prolonged his torment with slow movements as she reached up to untie her lacy corset, exposing the slightest bit of cleavage. One by one, she pulled the laces out of the loops. After what seemed like an eternity, she exposed her breasts, leaving only her coveted folds in hiding. Laura sat down on his lap as she unbuttoned his shirt, running her hands over his sculpted chest as she slid it off him. He could not take it any longer. Matt lifted her up and carried her to bed. That is by far the sexiest thing I've ever seen. She smiled as he climbed on top of her. She encompassed him like he was made to fit her. He tried to take his time as he caressed every inch and licked her silky skin, hoping to give her as much pleasure as she gave him. He could not get enough of her, and thought he could go on forever till finally he collapsed into her. That was awesome, Matt said as he rolled onto his side. You are awesome. Laura laughed. Thanks. I thought you might like that. I liked that very much. We should do it again. Yeah, we should. You hungry? I thought I smelled something delicious when I walked in. You smelled the mouth-watering aroma of my famous chicken pot pie. Famous? Well, famous among the few who have had the opportunity to try it. So this is your lucky day. I'm definitely lucky, he said with a smile, but eating means we must get out of bed. Yes, it does, but you'll be happy you did, I promise. All right, I'm getting up. This is delicious, Matt spoke with a mouthful of food. This is my grandmother's recipe. I'm glad you like it. You ate almost the whole thing. I can eat more, he said with a wink. Well, there's none left, but I made you an apple pie. Have I ever told you you're amazing? Not lately, she teased. I could get used to it, though. I got the new Bruce Willis movie you've wanted to see. Let's go watch it. Amazing. They settled in to watch the movie. It had been quite a day, and Matt didn't want it to end, even though he knew it would lead to a whole day filled with unknown adventures back in New York City. Chapter 7. Sure enough, he woke up in his splendid Upper East Side apartment. Rolling over, he found James sitting at his large bay window. Good morning, Matt. You have been a busy man, and you're about to get busy. Are you ready? I guess, but this is exhausting. How do you do this every day and keep it all straight? I'm a guardian of destiny, Matt. It's what I do. But by the end of this, you may think I'm an evil angel, he said with a laugh. Now get up and get ready. I'll be waiting. The sight of James sitting on his plush leather couch watching a reality show and drinking a beer stunned Matt. The crazy stuff people do on TV nowadays, shocking and crude, yet so addictive. Most of it makes me glad I'm not human. Speaking of that, I didn't know you could drink. It's not that I can't, it's just that I don't need to eat or drink. When I'm in human form, I can do many of the things you can. Interesting. As far as for reality TV, you're at your own risk when you watch that stuff. Makes me wonder how people can behave like that, ever. Even if it's for a shot at fame. I've been around a while, Matt, and I've seen it all. People do all sorts of things for money or success. Sad to say. On a later note, what's in store for me today? Matt inquired. I'm excited for today. It's the best one of all of them. James was giddy with excitement. Are you telling me that you know what happens in each situation? The whole outcome of everything, every day? Of course I do. I know all. And you're not going to tell me? Matt whined. What, and ruin all my fun? No way, man. Harsh, dude. That is really harsh. We all gotta do what we gotta do. You're a big boy. You'll be fine. All right, fine. Tell me about today. It is awesome. You'll see. You are now head of your department and are about to launch the new Sports Illustrated campaign you landed. The launch party is at 6. That is where your real fun will begin. But before all the fun times, you have a meeting today with the NFL execs to win their business, which is worth millions, so good luck with that. And you have more boring head of the department things to do, so enjoy your day. And poof, he dissipated. Matt was excited to get to work. Familiar faces congratulated him as he walked to his office. He appreciated the compliments and thanked them, assuming it was for the big Sports Illustrated launch. As he turned the corner next to his office, he almost ran into Bill. "Hey, man, good to see you," he said as he gave Bill a brief hug. "Sometimes, I don't know about you, Matt. We hung out last night. I know, I'm just in a good mood." "Of course. We have a huge launch today, and you're about to land the biggest ad campaign that this company has ever seen. Can you believe we get to run ads for the NFL? Awesome. I'm pumped and so ready for this meeting today. You and I have come so far since college. It's crazy." "Yeah, and we've had some great times along the way." "We have the NFL meeting at 3. Did you want me to head to your office around 2 so we can go over the finishing touches for our presentation?" Bill wondered. "Great idea. See you then." Matt wondered how he'd spend his day as he walked to his office. His secretary, Claudia, went over a few phone messages and reminded him he had to okay a bunch of reports for the head honchos by noon. Matt thanked her for the messages. He may have had his ass chewed if she had not reminded him. For the next few hours, Matt slaved over paperwork and returning important but boring phone calls to current customers who hoped to receive the latest ideas or give what they thought was valuable input. Did they not realize that advertising was his job and he was amazing at it? Most of the morning felt like a wasted time, but he guessed it came with the new territory manager. 2 could not get here fast enough. Running out of time with so much paperwork, he had Claudia order a sandwich from the cafe in the building. It was not the greatest place, but when you're hungry and had no time, it was awesome that it was just 2 floors down. He ate while typing and got everything he thought he had to get done just before Bill entered his office. Matt had always known their work was good, but the new sketches and technology presenting the ad ideas impressed him. "This looks amazing. We'll blow them away. Let's do this." He had to stop himself from saying anything that would weird Bill out, and was disappointed he couldn't confide in Bill about everything that was happening. He knew Bill would think he was crazy if he did, and James had warned him about telling others. They were ready to secure this account. Matt paused as he walked into a renovated conference room with large screen TV, recliners, minibar, whiteboard wall, along with a huge spread of deliciousness on the large conference room table in the middle of it all. Soon the head honcho showed up, and Bill began their spiel, smooth talking his way into their hearts and ending up with their wallets. Bill was at the top of his game. They signed an exclusive advertisement deal with the company, once again proving that Bill could sell anything to anyone. Pure gold, making them tons of money and paving the way for a celebratory evening. Matt would miss this if he chose Laura, but he brushed away the thought. "That was amazing, Bill. You sold the crap out of that." Bill grinned. "Thanks. I was on a roll and it felt good. Now I'm ready to celebrate." They wrapped up the final paperwork and headed off to the launch party, just as it began. Everything seemed more elaborate than usual, proving just how far they'd come in the business world. Matt spotted Charlie and Mike in the crowd. "Holy crap, guys, it's nice to see you here." Charlie laughed. "Don't be so shocked to see us. You're the one who invited us, remember? This party's rocking, and I'm going to enjoy myself tonight." Mike swatted Matt on the back. "This will be awesome. Looks like you guys throw a great party." Jane from their department got up on stage and tapped the microphone. "Thank you all for being here tonight. We are all very excited for this launch and have worked hard to get here. So now it's time to celebrate, but not before a speech from one of our fearless leaders." She gestured towards them. Not in any sort of state of mind to give this speech, he winked at Bill and did a slight motion to the stage, hoping he'd get the hint. Bill gave him his toothy grin as he walked up to the stage. Matt sighed with relief. Bill loved talking to crowds, and he pulled it off beautifully. It awed him to watch the guy in action, wooing the crowd with his ingenious words. The guy was a natural. Mike chuckled. "Look at him, eating up the attention and winning them all. How does he do it?" Matt nodded in agreement. "I have no idea. Knowing him most of my life, you'd think I'd learned something from him over the years, but I still have not figured it out." They spent the rest of the night walking around, conversing with people they knew, eating appetizers and drinking a smooth red wine. Everyone had a great time listening to the DJ, who turned out to be the ultimate entertainer, one of Bill's ingenious finds. Matt saw more people dancing than at any other party he'd ever been to, and even got into the music, finding himself 2 beautiful ladies who happened to be tall, sexy models. It was his lucky night, and the wine seemed to help his smooth moves on the floor. Matt was having such a good time he almost didn't notice Bill on the dance floor with Claudia. Matt wondered when she'd arrived, and when the whole thing had started between them. He remembered seeing Bill talking to her at work months earlier, but decided not to worry about it and just have fun. He let loose, having the time of his life, dancing with hot women, drinking with his buddies, and laughing the night away. Before he knew it, 2 a.m. rolled around and the party had dwindled. He had plenty of wine in him, so he asked his lovely dancing partners, Danielle the blonde and Bridget the brunette, both very leggy with large assets, if they wanted to continue the party back to his place. They agreed and were soon in his living room. Matt walked to the bar. "Would you ladies like a drink?" He didn't get a response, so he turned around to find them in a hot makeout session. Knowing this was the moment almost every man dreamed of, he walked over, hoping to get in on the action. The 2 beauties pulled apart, and Danielle grabbed him and pulled him close, smiling as she went in for a kiss, pushing her tongue in his mouth. She tasted sweet. Bridget came up behind him, rubbing her hands all over him, then reaching around to cup him in her hands and letting out a moan of appreciation for his larger size. Her hands moved up and ripped off his shirt. She pulled down his pants. He pulled away from Danielle to remove his t-shirt, and the 2 women kissed again, then slowly pulled each other's clothes off, revealing 2 of the sexiest naked women he'd ever seen, standing molded together right in front of him, inviting him to join them. This was going to be the best night of his life. Chapter 8. Matt woke up to kisses on his neck and fingers working their way down his stomach, bringing back delicious memories of the previous night. He opened his eyes, surprised to find Laura in his bed, causing disappointment at missing out on one more good time, but also emotions in his heart he was not sure he could explain. Laura smiled up at him as she kissed her way down. She took him in her mouth to tease him before taking him inside her. The tugging of his heart overcame him. This woman was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. He sat up and wrapped his arms around her, wanting to get closer and feel all of her softness against his body. It was unlike anything he'd ever felt before, sharing this moment with her, giving all of himself to her. Is this what love really feels like, he wondered. Afterward, Laura spoke. That was the one. The one what? He asked. The perfect baby-making love machine. Matt almost choked on his own spit. What? He said in horror. Laura laughed. Don't joke around, Matt. After 6 months of trying, I think we finally have success. And you're the one who wanted this the most, so don't pretend. Matt found that fact hard to believe since he remembered only ever hating children. But this was not his world right now, so he tried to hide his emotions. Yeah, just joking around. I'm so ready to be a mom. I love you, Matt. After 3 years of marriage, I love you more than I could ever imagine. I'm so happy. The look on her face melted his heart, and he almost missed the fact that they were married, which should not be too much of a surprise, but it still was. I love you, too. I'm starving, Laura said as her stomach grumbled. Let's go eat. She cooked them up a big breakfast of eggs, bacon, toast, and pancakes as they talked about their day ahead. I'm so excited to go to this shoot today, Laura beamed. I get to spend the day taking pictures of the cutest kids and their moms, but for that campaign about milk. Well, it sounds like you should have a great day. My day should be good too. Not sure what to say since he had absolutely no idea what his day entailed. Of course it'll be. You get to save the day designing ads for good causes. Matt tried to smile. Yes, I do. Oh, and Matt, remember, tonight we're meeting Annie and Sam and Pete and Janet for dinner and drinks at JoJo's on 49th Street. Right. Should be fun. Trying to sound happy, but not knowing these people. I have to go, she said. She gave him a quick kiss and hug. See you later. Bye. Matt drove to work. He couldn't stop thinking about the idea of having children. The thought had never crossed his mind that one day he may have kids. Kids never seemed like they would be that much fun, and they were so much work. They cause lack of sleep, they cry and whine, and cost so much money. He wondered why anybody would ever want them. He did see parents who seemed to love their kids, so they must have positive things about them. Still, how did he ever let her talk him into this? Matt pulled into work thanks to his trusty GPS again. He remembered a few of the faces from days ago, or months, or years, or whatever time ago. People were still as friendly as ever, waving and saying good morning. He made it to his office and shut the door. You freak out too much, Matt. Calm down and relax, James said. Matt jumped a little. You have to stop doing that. You're going to give me a heart attack. Matt sat down, hand on his heart. It's too fun to scare the crap out of you. You're so jumpy. James smiled. So, are you freaking out a little, wondering what's going on? How'd you know? Matt scoffed. Well, James to the rescue. I just wanted you to sweat a little bit. Gotta have fun somehow, he smiled. Aren't I the lucky one? Matt joked. Could you help me out here? What is going on? I don't want kids. Why are we having kids? Seriously, Matt, settle down. Does it even matter? It's not like this one day will affect the real future. This is a test run, Matt, remember? You worry too much. Matt paused for a moment. You're right, it doesn't matter. I need to think about it that way. I'll try to keep that in mind, though. I still don't want to look like an idiot. All right, I'll fill you in. Your kids' hangout campaign went well and boosted this business, especially nonprofit work, which you seem to enjoy. Now, you're the new Anderson advertising hero, and they put you in charge of the whole nonprofit branch. Nonprofit? I don't do nonprofit. I make the big bucks, sell the big ads. I don't know what to tell you, Matt. Marcus loved your ad campaign and saw something in you, so now you are the Minneapolis nonprofit guru. Today you get to work on a Feeding America ad saving children. Such a great guy, James smiled. And I see you're about to make one of your own soon, so good luck with that. Can we skip this day and just go to the other path already? I already know kids suck, and I don't want them. Matt sulked. Nope, suck it up and deal with it. Oh, and the people you're having dinner with tonight are 4 of Laura's best friends from high school. Try not to make a fool of yourself. James laughed at himself. And with that he was gone, which still freaked Matt out. Nonprofit, kids, what had he done? He needed coffee. Glad it was empty when he got there. He made himself a double-sized latte with extra espresso shot. It would be a long day. Matt logged in his computer to find only one meeting that day, which he figured should be a breeze. He messed with his computer for the next hour, drinking his coffee and trying to find clues to his life. He found that he was doing well in nonprofit advertising. The kids' hangout advertisements had gone very well, allowing the club to be a huge success. Within 3 months, they opened a second one. This brought a whole new level of advertising to the Anderson agency. Since then, Matt had also done some great ads for animals, vaccines, and a local food pantry. He designed some great advertising strategies on seriously low budgets. Money had never been a problem before. In New York, it was always bigger, better, no matter what the cost. It was a change of pace, he thought. Time passed by quickly, and he headed to his meeting. His notes told him that the meeting was a brainstorming session about cleaning a new client, which he was not worried about, so he walked in confidently and sat down next to a woman named Cheryl. Hey, she said with a smile, this should be a fun one. Oh yeah? Matt asked. It's amazing to be chosen to represent Prince's new art high school built for underprivileged children. It's so exciting, she said, almost squealing with delight. Her excitement was contagious. Matt loved Prince. He knew the guy would not be there, but the possibility to work with him in the future would be awesome. Matt had to be on top of his game for this one. Just then Marcus walked in, a big smile on his face. So, people, we have a huge task in front of us. But we can do this and land this account. So let's put our heads together and figure this one out. Anybody want to throw any ideas out there? A man named Mark spoke. We should put up a huge picture of Prince playing a guitar and saying, come check us out, with the school information at the bottom. Okay, good, said Marcus. We'll put that one down. He wrote on the board behind him. Anybody else? Cheryl spoke up, trying to contain her excitement. We should have an image of Prince mentoring someone saying, we teach you how to be your best. Great. Someone that Matt didn't know spoke up. Let's put pictures of kids playing various instruments and saying, take your pick, come and play. A few more people gave their ideas. Anybody else? Mark asked. Matt had been mulling over a few ideas in his head and decided on his favorite. What about an image of a kid imagining himself as a huge star holding a guitar saying, dream big, practice hard, we'll help you get there. The room went silent for a moment. Then Marcus slapped his hands together, smiling. That's terrific, Matt. Wonderful idea. Pride swelled up inside Matt. It was normal for him to develop great ideas and look good, but here it seemed to mean something. Okay, now we should vote on the 2 best ideas to show to the school, said Marcus. They went through them all and decided on both Matt and Cheryl's ideas. Cheryl beamed at Matt, excited to have her idea picked. The room was bustling with activity as Marcus raised his voice to be heard. Now, let's get into 2 teams, one for Matt to lead and one for Cheryl. You can work together on designing your ads. Let's meet back here at 2 so we can pick our final choice. Matt's team consisted of Mark and 2 other people, Abby, a graphics designer, and Deb with public relations. They hashed out the ideas for an hour and a half and designed one of Matt's best ideas yet. They took a break for a quick lunch, lucky for the assortment of free food in what Matt called Coffee Land, and then met back in the conference room. Cheryl's team went first and presented a very nice representation of her idea, tweaking the details here and there, presented in cartoon form. Everyone was impressed, and a few people commented on how much they liked it. Next, Matt pulled up his billboard image on a big screen. It was an image of a boy Deb had found playing his guitar. There was a dream cloud above him, showing him as a huge star singing in front of a giant crowd of people with the phrase, Dream big, practice hard, we'll help you get there, and the school logo information in the corner. He also presented his idea on a flyer, which incorporated Cheryl's ideas, Mark's, and a few others. When he finished, everyone congratulated him on the ad. Even Cheryl was happy for him, and thanked him for putting her idea in his ad. His had won. The team got together and finished up the final touches, adding more details and coming up with quick television and radio ads. By the end of the day, they were ready to present their idea to the school. He was annoyed that after all his hard work today, he wouldn't actually show anyone this because he wouldn't be here tomorrow. Then again, if he chose this path, he'd choose Minnesota and kids over luxury and Bill. He tried to push that thought out of his mind. He couldn't control it and wouldn't try. Plus, he had to get to dinner. Matt arrived for dinner just in time, meeting Laura right at the door. Laura gave him a hug when she saw him. "I missed you today," she said. His stomach fluttered. "I missed you too. Let's go eat." He tried to ignore his emotions. They found the other couples, Annie and Sam and Pete and Janet, ready at the table. Matt tried his best to act normal and keep up with the conversations. It was not bad, and the meal was terrific. He could find great food in New York, but he always had a hard time finding a good steak. He'd even been a bit adventurous and tried the bison steak. It would be hard going back to regular beef after that. Laura's friends made him laugh many times, so they ended up on his list of likable people. Eventually, they all decided they had enough to eat and drink, and it was time to head home. "We have to do this again soon," Matt heard himself say. "Sounds good," replied Pete. As they got into the car, Laura turned toward him. "It was nice to see you enjoy yourself. I was worried that when you moved, you wouldn't find people you enjoyed as much as your New York boys." Matt smiled at her. It was fun. He tried his best to hide the realization that if he chose Laura and this life, he may never see the guys again. That was hard for him to imagine. The minute they got home, Laura threw herself at him. Her hands were all over him, in his hair, rubbing his chest, caressing him everywhere. She steered him toward the bedroom, pulled down his pants, and pushed him onto the bed and knelt before him. He didn't want to finish before her, so he pulled her up and slowly ran his hand up to lift her skirt. He took his time, removing her sexy black thong before he pulled her onto him. She started out slow and steady, running her hands through his hair and over his chest as she rocked into him. He removed her shirt and tenderly took her breast in his mouth, then licked his way up to her neck, wanting to taste more of her. Laura took his face in her hands. Kissing him with so much affection, he lost it. These moments with her were more magical than he'd ever known. His body entwined with hers, naked flesh upon naked flesh, tongues stroking one another. He never wanted it to end. She finished with him crying out his name in pleasure. They laid back in bed, falling asleep almost instantly. Chapter 9. "Good morning, sunshine." Matt heard a deeper voice than he'd been expecting. He opened his eyes to find James standing over his bed. "Good morning, sweetheart," Matt said. "So happy to see your smiley face. It's so much better than Laura's." "I could crawl in and make you feel better if you're disappointed," James offered, smiling. "Nope, I'm good. Getting up. Please stay where you are." "Just saying, if you wanted some morning spooning action, I'm here for you, man," James joked. "I'm going to watch Desperate Housewives. I can't believe those shows are popular. Hurry up and get ready." "All right, I'm getting ready." Matt got up, curious about what the day had in store for him. He walked into the living room. "So, James, what am I—" He was shocked to see his new apartment had one whole wall of windows looking out to a large patio door, pool, waterfall, hot tub oasis. Wow, I must make some big bucks now. He turned to spot James on a leather couch singing in front of the wall-side screen with surround sound all over the room. The kitchen was bathed in all stainless steel and granite with all kinds of cooking supplies he would never use. "Hell yeah, Matt. You are head of a few departments now, which included a huge raise, allowing you the benefit of all of this," spreading his arms out wide. "Awesome. This is my dream apartment and dream job. This life really kicks ass. I noticed a few gray hairs in the mirror, though. Not cool. How old am I?" "You're only 35, man. Maybe you're going gray early because this life is too stressful for you. No wife, no kids, tons of money, and hot women always at your disposal." "That does sound rough," Matt laughed. "Though you make me sound like a player." "Well, you kind of are, Matt. From what I can tell, you get your choice of women most days, and you take advantage of that. Seems like every man's dream right there." "It seems like that, doesn't it? I guess I'm one lucky man. So, you going to give me a rundown on what I should know for today so I don't get fired or look like a fool?" "Okay, today you get to partake in a super fun racquetball meeting with the CEO of Brooks Diamonds, so good luck with that one. Racquetball. I've never played in my life. How am I going to pull this one off? Beats me. I never understood that game, so I can't help you there. You'll be fine. I'm sure that big brain of yours can figure it out. Now moving on, there's a meeting with the head of marketing from Penny's Paradise about their new line of lingerie. I'm sure that one will be hard on the eyes. You also have an afternoon meeting with the head of Golding Investments. But sad to say, Matt, you must use your own charm and good looks for this one. Matt is out of the picture now. He took a job at a smaller family firm in New Jersey a few years back. What? No Bill? Why did he leave me? We were a great team. We had a good thing. Doesn't he see what a good thing we have here? He asked, motioning around his grand apartment. Jeez, Matt, get a hold of yourself. You sound like you just got broke up with. What a wuss. Damn it, I did get dumped. Bill was my guy. We've been together for so long. Did he leave me because of a woman? As a matter of fact, yes. Claudia, your old assistant. She won him over, and he decided this fast lane life was not for him anymore, choosing love instead. He now was a kid with another one on the way. You still get together once in a while, but not too often. Sorry, man. This sucks, James. I can't imagine doing this without Bill. We had a deal. I operated as the brains, and he worked the charm. I don't possess his charm. This will not be easy. Matt, it'll be okay. Look at all you have. You'll be fine. You've been on your own for 3 years now. Plus you're being a douchey hypocrite. Do you not remember that you're considering leaving Bill to move to Minnesota for Laura? He made a choice, and you'll soon make yours. You're right. I still don't like it, though. I need to get going, Matt. Good luck, and enjoy racquetball, he said with a grin as he disappeared. Matt grabbed a bagel and headed off to work. He found his office on the upper floor and found love. It was a huge corner office with giant windows for the entire length of 2 walls, and another wall covered in 4 large-screen TVs. The office also had a bar and lounge area along the 4th wall. He had to admit he had amazing taste. His desk was thick, clear glass with not a thing on it. How did he work? He wondered to himself as he hovered over it in a while. He tapped the corner of the desk, and an image popped up on one of the TV screens, and a keyboard image appeared on the desk. Awesome, he said to himself. I have the best job. Gloria, his secretary, walked in, handing him a cup of coffee. Here is your espresso, sir. Will you need anything else? No, this is great, thanks. She gave him a rundown on the day's events, telling him almost exactly what James had, but giving him a few more details about each project. He thanked her and got back to his new high-tech toy. Glad he always used the same password for almost everything. Bad for security, he knew, but good for his sanity. He checked out a few recent projects he'd done. No wonder he was the head of his department. His work set the bar pretty high. Soon enough, he had to leave to meet Jerry Brooks for a fun time learning racquetball. He's found his way to the racquetball courts at the gym, knowing he'd get his butt kicked and feel it tomorrow. Could he be sore tomorrow, he wondered, since it would be years from now and not really tomorrow? Jerry walked up to him and interrupted his thought. You ready to do this? As ready as I can be, I guess, he admitted. They started the game off slowly, but after a good 10-minute warm-up, Jerry got into the game and Matt lost big time. Matt used the loss as a platform to convince Jerry to give him a chance at running the new ad campaign. Jerry agreed to let the firm present their ideas in 24 hours. Not much time, but they could do it. Plus, what did he have to lose? He wouldn't be around anyway, and he was just trying to make it through the day. Now he had to take a shower, get to lunch, and make it back to work for his meeting with Jen from Penny's Paradise. Matt made it back to his office with enough time to organize himself before Jen entered. Boy, was she smoking hot. Matt was not expecting such a beauty. Hello? It came out scratchy. She grinned at him. Hi, Mr. Andrews. Oh, please call me Matt. All right, Matt. Are you ready to tell me why I should choose you? Speechless for a moment, he realized she meant choose his agency to represent hers. He was such a dope. Matt collected himself and tried to sound as confident as possible. We're the best company for you. My team and I will work tirelessly to develop the best ad campaign for your products. We know the market and your target audience. I guarantee to fulfill your needs in any way we can. All my needs? She asked as she walked around the desk toward him. His cheeks flushed, and he stammered, Yes, all of them. We'll stop at nothing to please you. I like the sound of that. I need someone who will stop at nothing to please me. Well, you found your man, he said, liking where this was going, but in the back of his mind realized he had turned into a huge player. He felt a bit sleazy being with all these different women. Then the next day sharing his life with Laura, it seemed like he was betraying her, but not at the same time. Hadn't James told him to live this out as much as he could? It wasn't real. Tired of thinking about it and worrying about what to do, he moved closer to Jen. What is it you need from me? I really need you to push the boundaries. Go outside your comfort zone and give me everything you've got. I need you to work harder and get deeper. Make me feel something I've never felt before. Can you do that for me, Matt? She asked, lifting her leg to put her foot between his legs, inching it towards him. He let out a low grunt. I can do anything and everything you need. And he meant it, reaching a hand between her legs, happy to find she wore nothing underneath her tiny skirt. Did she always go pantyless, he wondered, or was it just for him? What was happening? Was he really doing this in his office in the middle of the day? It was so risky, but he loved every minute. He tried to be as quiet as he could, but he still felt they could hear him across the office with every move he made. None of that took away from the excitement of it all, as she had her way with him on top of his shiny new desk. When the fun was over, she giggled a little, excitement in her eyes. We definitely have to do that again. She pushed him away and jumped off the desk, pulling down her miniskirt as she walked away. Now meet me at 8, your place, for round 2, remember? Okay, I'll be there, he responded, and with that she left his office. What the heck was that, he wondered. How often do you get these kinds of visits? He sat there for a good 15 minutes, confused yet excited about what they'd gotten away with in his office in the middle of the day. People always fantasize about that, but who actually does it? And what does she mean by round 2? What were they doing later? At least this time he'd be at home, less exciting, but also less terrifying. The Golding Investments meeting was boring, but Matt did a great job of convincing the guy that his firm was the one to use in New York to get his name out there. Around 3, Gloria buzzed his office, a button lit up on his desk. Jeremy from Sports is here. Do you have a moment? He pushed a button. Send him in. A tall, blonde, athletic-looking younger man walked in. Thanks for seeing me, Matt. I'm working on this Adidas ad, and I'm stuck on a concept, not sure how to move forward. Would you take a look? Sure. He was glad for the distraction. They hashed out for almost 2 hours before Matt realized he was starving and looked at his watch. 5 already. Wow. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take up this much of your time. I'll get going. My bad. Matt laughed. Relax, Jeremy. It's cool. I'm glad to help, but now I need food. He got it from the desk as Jeremy got his things together. Hey, you hungry? I'm not sure what I'll eat, but you're welcome to come along. There's a great taco place on Broadway not far from here. Great imported beer, too. Sounds terrific. Let's go. Jeremy dropped off his things on his way out, and Matt noticed quite a few people still in the office. Either he was a dick of a boss pushing everyone too hard, or there were a lot of overachievers who worked too hard to get ahead. He realized that for him it had always been that way, working longer and harder than most, putting work before life just to get that promotion, to get the better office and make more money. He wondered how many of them were like him, no permanent person at home. How many would ever live their whole lives alone? He knew it could be lonely, but also remember those awesome moments like 2 hours ago and 2 days ago. He was not sure he was ready to leave it. Jeremy interrupted his thoughts. Did you want to walk? It's only a few blocks away. I'm good with walking. Matt was just happy to be out of work. So, Jeremy, how do you like the department? It's great. I've always been into sports of all kinds, and even though I may look it, I am not athletic, so it's a great way for me to be involved in them. Yeah, it is. I started out in sports, so I get it. It's a great department. Fun atmosphere, great advertising opportunities. I always enjoyed it. Cool. It's great to know that there's room to move up. You've had a spectacular career, and I look up to you. Thanks. Yeah, it's been good. Hard work, but fun. Jeremy was quiet for a moment. Looking back, would you do anything differently? Matt was not sure how to answer that one, deciding to go with the easy route. Nope, I loved it all, man. That's good to hear. Sometimes I wonder if I work too hard, not making enough time for personal life, but if it's meant to be, it'll happen. I have to work for my future, you know? They reached a restaurant and the conversation ended. They were seated immediately and both decided on a house special, a steak and bean burrito along with Mexican beer that neither one of them had ever tried. Matt took a sip as they waited. This is delicious, smooth and dark. I should come here more often just for the beer. Jeremy laughed. It's good. So, Matt, do you mind if I ask you a question? Okay, go ahead. Have you ever had to choose work over a personal matter? I guess I'm asking because I'm stuck in a choice and am wrestling with what to do. Life's choices can be hard, Matt thought for a moment. In this life, I've had choices to make, but have not yet found anything I thought would be more important than this job, this lifestyle. Is that good or bad? I'm not sure. I have a great life, nice car, awesome apartment, terrific job, and more women than I could ever imagine. Sometimes I wonder if a different life would have been better. I don't know, I may never know, but in this moment in time, I'm happy with the choices I've made so far. Does that help at all? Yeah, it does, thanks. Their food appeared and Matt was glad for the interruption. The conversation throughout the meal was sporadic and centered on the soccer game playing on all the screens. Matt enjoys Jeremy's company and thought he was a good guy. Distracted by the game, he only had 20 minutes to make it home before Jen showed up with whatever game she had in store for him. Matt said goodbye to Jeremy and hailed a cab. He got home just before Jen rang the door. Excitement and nervous energy ran through him as he waited for her. She walked in looking even hotter than before. He didn't even know that was possible. She slipped off her coat, revealing a sexy red leather corset with slinky tights. He was ready for whatever she had to give. She opened her bag, pulling out a rope, whip, and cuffs. Oh no, not this again. Fresh memory surfaced on the last time he'd seen items like that. So, Jen, what you looking to do with those? Don't be funny, Matt. You know what I want you to do. Thinking fast. Would you give me a refresher so I don't disappoint? Matt, I've been a bad girl who needs to be punished. You need to teach me a lesson, whatever it takes. This is way better than what he assumed. You bad girl, what should I do with you? When will you ever learn? Laying along, he grabbed the props in her wrist. Come with me. I'm forced to show you what happens to bad girls. He pulled her into the bedroom. He was going to love this and fulfill another fantasy. He grabbed her right wrist and handcuffed them together over the bar in the closet. Appreciating the moment, he smacked her ass. As he reached for the whip, Jen looked at him, eyes full of excitement. He whipped the air, testing it out. You need to be punished, Jen. He whipped her, but instantly felt bad. She cried out, I've been so bad, Matt. I need you to teach me a lesson. Matt was not sure he could do this, but he tried his best to play along and whipped her a few more times as she moaned. He undid the cuffs and pulled her to the bed, tying her hands to the bedpost, pleased to find that the rope was long enough to tie her feet to the bed, too. He ran his fingers up her leg as light as a feather. She moaned, Please, Matt, take me now. He gave in to her request. They both were in need and could not wait any longer. She took all of him and moved with him. It felt amazing, but he could not help but compare this moment to the ones he had with Laura. When they were spent, he fell onto her. You should be bad more often. She laughed. I agree. They lay there for a moment before he got up and untied her and pulled her into him. Exhausted, he hoped she was satisfied enough to not want more. She relaxed into him and fell asleep. Chapter 10. Matt woke up to crying, a very loud, shrill cry. What the hell was that? Someone kicked his leg. Matt, wake up. I need help. You're being lazy. Maddie's on the toilet and needs help, but Will is inconsolable. I can't put him down. Matt feared opening his eyes, wishing it was a dream he could go back to sleep. Matt, I know you're awake. Get up. He grudgingly opened his eyes. Laura stood there holding a small, crying boy. Okay, I'm up. She didn't look pleased. Either go help Maddie or take Will. What great choices. Give him to me. She pushed the boy into his arms and left the room. Matt eyed the kid, what with tears, not showing any signs of stopping. Not a great thing to wake up to, huh, Matt? It startled Matt to see James in the corner of the room. No, it isn't. Can we just skip this day? It's not looking good so far. No can do, man. You have to deal with it all. Have fun, he said with a smirk. Kids can't be all bad, right? Weren't those your words? What the hell, James? You can even read my mind when you're not around me? James smiled. I have a whole bunch of tricks up my sleeve. Now get out of bed and help your wife with your 3 lovely kids. 3? Holy crap, are we trying to create our own basketball team here? James laughed. Looks like it, man. Who's the 3rd? Ellie. She's 4 and watching cartoons in the living room. Maddie's 2 and Will here is 6 months. He's an eating one, so I think you may have made the wrong choice. Always choose potty duty over crying, Matt. Don't you know anything about kids? No, James, I don't. He was exasperated. I know zilch about children. I never wanted kids. Now look at me. What the hell? Looks like you changed your mind, Matt. You changed it a lot. James walks toward the bed, making face at Will, causing the kid to stop crying. I thought you couldn't be seen by anybody but me. I make exceptions sometimes. 6-month-olds fall into that category. He's so small and cute and can't even talk, so I have nothing to worry about. Who's he gonna tell? True. Keep doing that while I get dressed. I pulled on some nearby sweats. Since when did he wear these things? They were so horrid yet seriously comfy. His life was officially down the shitter. Sweatpants, 3 kids, crabby wife. Who could ask for more? Okay, Matt, we don't have much time. You still work Anderson Agency and have a huge meeting with the head of the Boys and Girls Club for the area. They need to revamp their image, and I guess you're now the man for that job. Laura still does photography and has a huge shoot this morning, so you have to take the kids to daycare and preschool. Don't worry, it's in the GPS. Matt was a little relieved about that, but not looking forward to being alone with 3 kids. At 3 today, you have to head back to preschool and watch Ellie's spring concert. That should be fun. There was that sarcastic tone again. Then you're hosting a play date for your good old friends Annie, Sam, Pete, and Janet and their kids at 5. I guess you've all been busy playing house these last few years. Now get going. Laura's about to come in here and yell at you. And with that, he disappeared, leaving Matt with a crabby will. Matt made his way to the living room, finding a tiny Laura look-alike sitting on the couch watching Sesame Street. "Hi, Daddy," she said without looking. His heart did a little flutter. "Hey, Ellie. Do you want to watch TV with me, Daddy?" She was cute, he had to admit. "Okay, sounds good. Maybe he'll stop crying if he watches." "Maybe," she said, "but he cries a lot." He laughed at her casual remark, a smart one, too. They sat for a moment, and Will calmed down when Elmo sang and danced. Matt reveled in the silence. Laura walked into the room, looking a little less crabby. "Did you want to get breakfast ready or keep them busy?" He was not good at cooking, but wondered if they were worse. He took a chance. "I'll hang out here, and good morning to you, too," he smiled, hoping to change the course of the day. She laughed and leaned over to give him a kiss, then headed to the kitchen. Another mini Laura, but with blonde hair, came running into the living room, throwing herself into his lap, causing another flutter. She planted a kiss on his cheek. "Daddy, Daddy, I pooped all by myself!" "Good job!" He chuckled to himself at her proud announcement, even though it sounded disgusting. She turned to the TV, and soon all 3 got lost in the show. He tried not to move a muscle, not wanting to disrupt the silence. They stayed that way for a good 10 minutes before Will got fussy again, so Matt stood up to find Laura. She finished up the pancakes and put the table together at the same time. It was impressive to watch. "I'm almost done in here. You can put him in the high chair and get him started. He has Cheerios and applesauce there. Will you feed him, please?" "Sure." Though he had no clue how to feed kids. He got Will in the high chair, who shoved a handful of Cheerios into his mouth. Matt waited for an opening, then shoved a spoonful of applesauce into the tiny mouth. Will half closed his mouth, pushing out applesauce as he did. Gross. Matt wiped the mouth and tried again, with no better luck. Kids are disgusting. "Breakfast is ready," Laura called to the girls. They came running in and sat down, ready for food. For the next 15 minutes, Matt experienced the most disgusting meal in his life. Food spit out of mouths, lips smacking as they chewed, sticky syrup everywhere. How did 3 tiny people make such a mess, he wondered in amazement. Laura stood up. "I'll get these 2 cleaned up. Let Will finish the Cheerios on his own so you can eat." Matt had totally lost his appetite, so he poured himself coffee. He studied the mess for a moment longer and decided he should probably clean it. Remembered that his dad used to say it was not going to clean itself, and now he understood what he meant. He finished up as Laura walked in. "Thanks. You're such a wonderful man at times, Matt," she teased. "Now go get your sexy self dressed. We're running late." He didn't find a decent suit, so he settled for dress pants and a nice shirt and tie, then walked out and met Laura in the hallway. My, who are you looking to impress today?" "Oh, this? I just wanted to look good today. Wondering what he usually wore to work if this was fancy." Laura laughed. "All the kids' stuff is by the door. I have to get going or I'll be late." She leaned in and gave him a long kiss. He wouldn't let her go when she pulled away, pulling her closer for another. She obliged and pulled away again, laughing as he tried for a third. "This is why we have 3 kids, Matt. You won't leave me alone," she teased. "I have to go. I'll see you at 3, okay? Don't forget." He smiled. "I won't." He loved watching her walk away. He looked over at the 2 clones and Will, who almost resembled him more, bashing blocks together on the floor. "Time to go, girls." He shut off the TV and headed out the door. The GPS got into daycare and to preschool without getting lost. It had been hard to leave Maddie. She cried and clung to his leg, not wanting him to go. She looked so sad. He wanted to hold and console her, which was hard to believe since he'd only just met her this morning and didn't enjoy children. The daycare ladies pulled her away, convincing him it would be okay and that she'd be fine as soon as he left. He hoped they were right. It was easier with Ellie. She gave him a hug and a quick kiss and trotted off to play with her friends, so bouncy and happy, it made him smile. He headed off to work, relieved to have the morning behind him, ready to dive in. At least this was easy for him. The receptionist greeted him as he headed to his office, or at least where his office used to be. People waved at him as he walked by, and everyone was so nice. He found his new title in the door. Hard to believe he was the guy that they picked for the nonprofit department. Who would have guessed? He looked at the calendar in his computer, which came nowhere close to his high-tech gadgets back in New York, but it did the job. His meeting was at 10 a.m., so he had an hour to collect his thoughts. After he logged into his computer, he found the folder on the Boys and Girls Club. Happy to see he had not lost his touch. The ads were phenomenal. The club would be impressed. Hell, he impressed himself. Matt also realized he had one lone member on his team. Thankfully, it looked like Tori knew her job. Matt called her in, hoping to talk about a few details before the big reveal. She turned out to be a short, stocky older woman. He realized what a sexist he'd always been, hiring, choosing hot women over homely or older ones every time. God, how had he never known what a pig he'd been? Good morning, Matt, she smiled. You ready for today? Tori, would you mind if I had you present this one? You worked so hard on it and are ready to take this one on today. She was quiet for a moment, which worried him. Had he said something wrong? Oh my God, are you serious? I'm speechless right now. Of course, I would be honored. I'm so excited to do this, she put it out. Wow, I wasn't expecting this, but I'm ready. Relief flowed through him. She had no idea what a huge favor she was doing for him. If you want, we could practice right now. Work the kinks out. That would be great. Let's get to work. They went over it a few times. She was rocky at first, and he had to help her smooth it out. But after the third time, she became more relaxed, and he was confident she'd do great. Tori was a very smart woman and held a lot of knowledge. They'd have to meet Marcus and the Boys Girls Club team in the conference room. There was a small spread of food and refreshments laid out, but it didn't come close to his New York style. Matt decided that less was better. It focused on the content of the work instead of the food. An hour and a half later, they walked out with the account. Tori did a terrific job. Matt decided she was no bill, but she would work. Compassionate and witty, though not as charming, she still had a way of making people feel at ease, convincing them they could rely on her. Matt was glad he'd asked her to present instead of him trying to stumble his way through it. Mr. Anderson invited them both to a late lunch, taking them to an all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet, his favorite place to eat. They talked about work and family. It made him smile the way Mr. Anderson talked about his wife and kids with such a gleam in his eye. Matt wondered if he'd ever feel that way about his family if he chose this life. What if he couldn't? He would end up miserable. But if he could, it sounded pretty awesome. This choice didn't seem to get any easier for him. Didn't James say that this whole thing was supposed to help him? He didn't see himself making a choice in the near future. How about you, Matt? How are those 3 Rugrats of yours? Marcus asked. They're great, he said, not sure if he meant it or not. I'll head to a preschool concert later today, so that should be fun. Preschool, such a fun age. They're little people with such personalities. I loved it when my kids were that young. How were kids fun? One would think they'd be more enjoyable when they were old enough to clean up after themselves. Matt was obviously missing something. Don't take it for granted, Matt. Take all of it in and enjoy the moments, even the difficult ones. They're all worth it. Well, that was delicious, but now we should get back and get some work done, shall we? Mr. Anderson led them out of the restaurant. When they got back, he and Tori worked for another hour on the changes to the ad, and then Matt had to get going, arriving at the preschool in time, finding Laura up front in the middle. He sat down and she put her hand on his and smiled. You made it. Of course, wouldn't miss it. The curtains opened and revealed the shortest singing group Matt had ever seen. They sang the Itsy Bitsy Spider and won over the crowd, including Matt. It was cute, he had to admit, with their little hand gestures and adorable smiles. They sang 3 more songs, then the whole crowd clapped as the children bowed and the curtains closed. That was so cute, Laura said with tears in her eyes, such pride and love on her face. The same look Marcus had when he talked about his kids. Could he ever feel that way? He went to find Ellie. She came running up to them and jumped into his arms, wrapped her arms around his neck and planted a big kiss on his cheek. Hi, Daddy. Matt felt his heart melt a little. Maybe he did have a heart for kids somewhere in there. Such Daddy's girl, Laura teased. Matt looked at Laura, not knowing what she meant. What? Laura laughed. Matt, don't play dumb. She's always been your girl from day one, and you love every minute. It's okay. I can be number 2. She kissed him on his other cheek. Do you want to go home with me or Daddy, Ellie? Daddy. See? Daddy's girl, Laura said with a smile. I'll get Will and Maddie and meet you at home. Oh, will you stop and pick up the hot dogs and brats from the store? I forgot those the other day. Sure. See you at home. Ellie helped him find their usual hot dogs and brats. She was such a smart little girl, pointing out exactly where they were and which ones to buy. He rewarded her with a Reese's peanut butter cup on the way out, which made her giggle with delight. By the time they got home, he was regretting the treat when she made a huge mess all over her hands and face. He looked around the vehicle, relieved to find wipes in the cubby. Matt wondered when he started carrying wipes around in his car, then figured a parent prepares for anything. He cleaned her up and headed inside the house. The kids were playing with blocks in the living room, so Ellie joined them. He found Laura in the kitchen getting a fruit salad ready. Hey there, she smiled at him as he put the grocery bag on the counter. Thanks, I was hoping you'd get the grill started. Sure. He'd never grilled anything in his life. It couldn't be that hard, right? He went up to the patio to find a huge tree fort and place it in their backyard. He looked over the grill, finding instructions by the controls. Arms circled around him. Remember to let the grill heat up this time first. It didn't work out so well last time, she laughed. He wondered what happened last time and guessed his grilling skills were not to be desired. Thanks for the reminder, hoping he sounded amused instead of annoyed. Sorry, honey. I'm sure they'll be great. She smacked him on the butt playfully and left. When he walked back in to get the meat, Annie and Sam walked in with their 2 kids. Hey, Matt, Sam slapped him on the back. How about I give you a hand with the grill? We all know how great you are at grilling and all, but I'd like to help, he said and nudged Matt as he grabbed the grocery bag and headed out to the patio. It was a relief not to do the grilling, but embarrassing to hold a negative reputation. He followed, but was cut off by the herd of children heading out to play, carrying toys and yelling to each other. Kids were so loud. So Matt, how's advertising these days? Pretty good. I like my job and I'm good at it. How about you? How's work? It's been a good year. I've always been a smooth talker, so car sales has been good for me. It's nice. I make enough money so Annie can stay home with the kid. She likes it. He not thought about that. Did Laura want to stay home? But he made such little money at his agency that she had to work. How could he make enough working in a nonprofit in a tiny company? He reeked of failure. Here he went again, making this all about himself. Was Laura happy? She had to haul his ass out of bed, force him to take care of his own kids. Not only did she always clean up after him, but she worked a full-time job too. She deserved better. Someone who would be a better father and husband, someone who could provide for her better. Hell, she could do way better than him. Why had he never thought about that before? Why did he only think of himself? Maybe this whole experience was to show him that choosing Laura would be bad for both of them. Matt, dude, snap out of it and go get a plate. The hot dogs are almost done. Yeah, sure. Back in the kitchen, he saw that Pete and Janet had arrived. Laura was at the table with Janet and Annie feeding the youngest kids. He realized that Pete and Janet had twins about the same age as Will. Ugh, that would not be fun. Matt waved at Pete. We're out on the patio. He grabbed a plate and headed back to the grill, holding it to Sam. Thanks. The brat should be done, too. Hey, man, you made it just in time to do nothing, Sam joked to Pete. Exactly, that was the plan, he replied with a laugh. I had to work late at the office again. I have court early tomorrow and needed to prepare. Janet's annoyed I was running late, but someone has to pay the bills, right? Damn it, thought Matt. Janet doesn't work either? He was such an ass. How can she stand him? Hey, Matt, will you take these off the grill? I'll tell the ladies it's ready and grab a beer. Pete, will you get all those crazy kids in here? Sure, man. They both left him. Just as Matt took off the last brat, the herd came running past him, laughing and giggling as Pete chased him into the house. As he walked in, Matt noticed Laura had set up a small kids' table in the corner of the dining area. He was grateful he wouldn't have to endure another horrid meal with messy children. As soon as he set down the plate, hands came in and grabbed the hot dogs and brats. Chaos ensued for a few minutes till the kids were sitting and eating quietly. Then all the adults settled down. A few conversations were going around, making him feel out of place, like he didn't belong. Really, he didn't know this life or these people. Laura laughed and looked at him, so he tried to pull off his best smile he could muster. To avoid conversation, he stuffed a brat in his mouth. This was good. How had he never tasted one of these before? He continued to stuff his face as the conversation centered on the children and little quirks they all had. Matt tried to play along, laughing when everyone did, smiling when they smiled, but didn't understand most of the conversation. He learned they all often get together, played softball in a league, hiked and camped together. Camping? He never camped in his life. Who had he turned into? Is this who he wanted to be? Hearing his name, he thought back to the conversation. Matt, do you remember when we were all at the Vikings game and we almost got our butts kicked by those Bears fans, but you turned it all around, convincing those guys we had complimented them? Man, that was awesome. I'd never seen you smooth talk your way out of anything. You even got them to buy us beer. We have to go again soon, said Pete. Yeah, that was fun. We should do it again, Matt responded. It sounded like it would be fun, and he'd learned some communication skills from Bill. Daddy, can you push us on the swing? Ellie came running up to him, covered in ketchup. Sure, but first let's clean you up. He grabbed a paper towel to wash her messy face and tried to keep up as she and the others ran outside. It exhausted him to move from swing to swing, pushing all the kids, trying to keep them swinging and happy, but it was worth it, hearing the squeals of joy. They seemed to have limitless energy. His arms screamed in pain when Pete and Sam appeared to help. Looks like you have your hands full, Sam chuckled. These kids are crazy. So much energy, Matt huffed. Tell me about it, Pete sighed. I never knew I could be so tired by the end of the day. Janet wants another, but I'm done. Is Laura trying to get me to have more? Matt had no clue, so he just shrugged. Who knows with women? They change their minds all the time. Pete laughed. True. We just have to deal with it. Sometimes they're exhausting as the kids. They all laughed. Janet and Annie appeared in the door. Time to go, kids, causing a chorus of groans and protests. You heard him, kids. Time to go, Mom says, urged Sam. But we didn't get to play very much, pleaded Julie. You'll see them tomorrow at the park. You'll have plenty of time to play then. Sam tried his best to convince them. The girl looked annoyed, but said goodbye and huffed towards the house. See you tomorrow, Matt, Pete said with a wave. Catch you later. Matt continued to push Ellie on the swing. Dad, can we watch Beauty and the Beast? He was fairly certain it was an old Disney movie. Sure, let's go. Ellie jumped off the swing and ran to the house. It was a lot quieter. He found Laura finishing up the kitchen. Do you need help? He asked. No, I'm almost done. If you'd keep the kids busy, that would be nice. Ellie had already pulled out the DVD and handed it to him. Thanks, Ellie. She smiled and jumped on the couch. The movie turned out to be good. It kept the girl's attention, but he was not lucky enough with Will. The boy only had a 15-minute attention span, so Matt ended up changing toy choices often. Laura came in halfway through to give him a bath and put him to bed. The look of love in his eyes for his mother was evident. Ellie may be a daddy's girl, but Will was a complete mama's boy. Laura walked back in and took Maddie to bed. Soon enough, Ellie fell asleep with her head on his arm, snoring a little, so he carried her to bed. She wasn't wearing pajamas, but he didn't have the heart to wake her up, so he placed her in bed and covered her up. She looked so sweet and peaceful, his heart did another flutter. He shut the door as Laura left Maddie's room. She fell asleep, so I put her in bed. She smiled. Good. Would you clean up the toys while I sweep? Sure. Kids were so dirty and messy, always having to clean up after them. As he was finishing up, Laura came in and sat down on the couch, letting out a sigh. That was fun, but tiring. They were quiet for a moment. Laura, I was thinking He stopped. What? Do you ever wish I made more money so you didn't have to work? She sighed. Matt, she sounded disgusted. We've had this conversation before, and I don't want to have it again. It's just that Janet and Annie don't work, and they seem to love it. I feel like maybe I should try to get a different agency where I can make more money. Then you wouldn't have to work. Matt, I'm not Annie or Janet, and I'm tired of telling you this. I know you're not them. That's not what I'm saying. She interrupted him. I know what you're saying, and I don't want to hear it. Did you forget who you married? Do you even know who I am? Are you not happy with us? Not happy with me anymore? She looked angrier than any woman he'd ever seen. No, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. He tried to salvage the conversation. Oh, I do, Matt. I understand clearly. You keep bringing this up, and I keep telling you no. But I guess me being happy and doing what I want is not enough for you. You're trying to make me something I'm not and pushing me to do what you want. And I'm tired of it, Matt. Just tired. But Laura, I'm your husband. I'm supposed to be the provider. She stood up. I'm going to bed. He got up to follow. You should stay here for a while, Matt. And she left him. Her anger hit him like a brick wall. What just happened? He figured she'd be happy with his suggestion. Boy, was he wrong. Confused and hurt, Matt found an old TV show and sat down to watch. He wondered how many times they'd had that conversation. Well, that was fun. Matt had not even noticed James appear next to him on the couch. Chapter 11. I figured maybe you wanted to get a move on, get a little past this day. Shall we go? Whatever is next can't be any worse than today. We'll see, James hinted. What? Please tell me you're joking. James smiled. I don't think today was that bad. Not so bad. Are you serious? I had to deal with loud, disgusting children, felt inadequate with my life, and ended up pissing off my wife. Nope, not that bad. We'll get over it, Matt. That may be your life. Ready to go? I guess. Let's go. James grabbed his arm and they transported to his extravagant living room in New York. No new promotion, no bigger and better place. What about family? Matt had so many questions. Go get ready and meet me in the living room and I'll tell you all about it. And take your time. I need to catch up on The Bachelor and I don't want to be interrupted. The shower calmed his nerves and he welcomed the peace after the last hectic day. He got out, ecstatic with the broad choice of suits in his closet. Pinstripe Michael Kors set with red accents spoke to him, so he matched it with the red satin tie. He found James sitting on the couch talking. Seriously, do you not see he is so fake? He asked the TV. James, you do know they can't hear you, right? And you talking to the TV won't change anything? No kidding, he rolled his eyes. They just make you so angry. I mean, do they realize how ridiculous it is to find your soulmate on a television show? And all the drama. I've never seen so much drama before. I've seen a lot. Yet, I can't stop watching it. Why? Matt laughed. I don't know, man. I never got into those kinds of shows. Matt found bagels in the kitchen and slathered one with cream cheese. It's what I'm in for today. You're now VP of the whole company, so congrats on that. Today you have lots of meetings, so that should be fun. You have a morning meeting with all your department heads. Seems like they're giving you updates. After that, you'll meet with the accounting department. After lunch, you get to experience a board meeting. This sounds like loads of fun. Wish I were you today, he laughed. But this should perk you up. You're having drinks with Bill tonight. Great. Well, great about the drinks, but not about all the meetings. I'm excited to see Bill again. Yep, and you and your lover boy reunite. How exciting. Haha. It's just that I haven't seen him in a few days. Whatever, your bromance is safe with me. I'll tell no one. Who would you tell anyways? That hurts, Matt. Really hurts, James said with a hand over heart. James, one question. Am I married or dating anyone? You haven't found anyone, though you're still quite the ladies' man. It seemed odd to Matt that he'd remained single. Did he like the single life that much, or is it that hard to find someone? James, what are the chances I won't find someone if I don't end up with Laura? Beats me, Matt. I'm not Cupid. I show you your possible futures, but cannot explain why things happen the way they do. Most of the time, the paths I show you are the major ones, and unlikely to change all that much. But sometimes fate takes a turn, and they end up quite different. Those are the cases I don't see coming. It's time for me to go, Matt. Have fun. And with that, he was alone. Matt walked to work, appreciating everything around him. He really did love New York City. So much to do, and so exciting. His favorite coffee shop was still along the way. A better start to the day already. Outside, his office building had changed slightly, but he liked the improvements. Gloria met him at the elevator, filling him in on his day while leading him to his new office. The office was sleek and contemporary, much larger than the last. He still had a bar, though it was smaller due to the main focus of the room, a conference table in the center and 3 large projection-like screens. This meant he must have lots of meetings, but at least the glass desk was there. Searching around for any other high-tech gadgets, he found a glass drafting table to the left of the desk. Walked over and touched it, making it come to life, bringing up 4 folder images. He touched one of them, and an array of images popped up all over the glass-like screen. The resolution was crisp and clear and beautiful. He marveled at the sharp edges, dark colors, and bolder appeal of the new ads, wondering whose impressive work it was. He searched around and found Jeremy's name. It made him smile to find Jeremy had stayed and become so successful. Did he still work here? I laughed out loud when 2 minutes later Jeremy walked into the room. Speak of the devil. Hey man, how's it going? I was just looking back at some of your work. Impressive. Thanks, I learned from the best, motioning to Matt. Well, most of the talent is within. I can only teach so much. Just then an older man Matt recognized as working in the kids department walked in, along with 2 women he didn't recognize. He greeted them as a few others trickled in behind them. They all sat down around the conference table just as Gloria walked in with coffee and donuts. There was small talk as they grabbed food and drinks, and Matt realized they were waiting for him. All right, let's get started. We all know we're having a great fiscal year, but the board wants proof and needs to hear what we're doing to improve the company. So if y'all could give me a quick rundown on your department is and where you're going, that would be great. Jeremy got up and started his presentation. The boy was comfortable talking and did a great job of condensing his ideas into one concise talk. Matt suspected Jeremy moved up the ladder quickly due to a natural talent for just knowing how an ad should look and how to appeal to his audience. It wouldn't be long and the guy would steal his job. The department had exploded with accounts in recent years and was the biggest moneymaker for the company. Matt figured Jeremy may even be better than himself at his age and would make it to the top. The others presented, a dwarf in size and caliber compared to Jeremy's, but they had done well this year and none of them were losing money. The meeting lasted a good 2 hours, but in the end Matt came in with only good things to say to the board. He made a mental note to find the presentation he assumed he'd made previously for them. How was he going to sit through 2 more meetings? As soon as the department heads left, the accountants walked in, and that meeting started. It felt like hours had passed by, and Matt was ready to cut the meeting short. He planned to use the excuse they needed to eat, but luck was not on his side because at noon, Gloria walked in with lunch for them. Sandwiches, chips, and soda. Bored to tears an hour later, he learned more about accounting than he cared to know. He wondered if accountants had a higher suicide rate than most because they have the most boring job on the planet. After the accountants left and Gloria cleaned up, he only had 45 minutes to find the presentation he'd hoped he'd made for the board. He panicked for 20 minutes before he stumbled on it and took a quick look. The slides were good enough and covered most of what he heard this morning, but he made a few changes and finished just in time for a group of older, plump gentlemen entered. Most of them he'd met before, but a few were new. He greeted them as they walked toward the conference tables and set up his presentation. Matt, you disappoint me. Where are my sweets I so dearly love, and how come you've not offered me a drink yet? Asked the plumpest man of them all. This made Matt flush. I'm sorry, where are my manners? He managed. What would you gentlemen like to drink? Of course they all wanted his $2,000 per bottle bourbon. As he finished getting drinks, Gloria once again came in with food, a large platter of pastries and other fancy bite-sized treats. Thank you, Gloria, very much. He gave her the biggest smile, very thankful for having her today. The pigs devoured the entire plate, leaving him to wonder how 10 men could eat a whole plate of desserts meant for about 24 people. No wonder they were such lard asses, he thought. Matt wanted it over with and started talking. He'd expected the men to ride his ass, but it was worse than he'd imagined. He'd have been better off as a baby zebra being hunted by a whole pack of hungry lions. They attacked him at every turn, finding fault with every number he presented, even though they were all positive. The jerks were so money-hungry that none of the numbers were enough, and after hours of torture he walked away, a pathetic loser, even though the company's numbers were better than they'd been in 6 years. These men wanted more work done, yet wanted to have to pay less people to do it. When he all but said that it was ridiculous, they beat him to a pulp and told him he had to make it work since the company had responsibility to their stockholders. It was all bullshit. He knew companies were all about money, but this was so greedy. They expected more than they gave and thought of themselves as nice for not asking for more. Is this what he had to deal with on a daily basis? Being VP had some negatives. He hoped this was a rare day. Why would anybody do this job? As soon as the men left, which took forever, he finished up and decided it was time to head to the bar, ready to get started on drinking. On the way out, he saw Jeremy and invited him along, not wanting to drink alone. The bar was dead when they got there, but that was to be expected at 4 in the afternoon. The layout of the bar appeared similar, though it had a classier atmosphere with black and silver decor. Matt liked the new digs and was happy the bar hadn't gone downhill over the years. The young waitress was a definite hottie. Huge breasts, beautiful blue eyes, and brown hair. She was on the short side, but that intensified her sexy curves. You look stressed, Matt. Jeremy peered, concerned. Yeah, that meeting was rough. Between us, those men are jerks and only care about us making them more money. I don't look forward to any more of those. I don't envy you, that's for sure. I prefer to forget it ever happened. He took a sip of his drink. Jeremy, how's life? It's good. Work's good. I've moved up fast and love working in sports. That department was always my favorite. How's the love life? I was curious about how things had gone for Jeremy. Did he find love and a great career? Pretty much non-existent at the time. I guess I'm married to the job, and maybe a bachelor for life, though you can't complain about the women we meet in our line of work. I wouldn't be able to enjoy all of them if I was married, am I right? Jeremy asked with a smile. You're right on that one. There are a lot of beautiful women in this business, and that has its benefits. Plus, I don't have to deal with crying, messy kids, no angry wife that won't sleep with me. I enjoy this life a lot. Matt wondered if it was really better than the alternative. They watched the game for an hour before Bill showed up, and Matt waved him over to the table. Hey man, how have you been? It's good to see you. Bill smiled. You too. Claudia says hi and keeps asking me why we don't see much of you anymore. She wants me to remind you to come to dinner sometime. Sure, anytime. Matt wondered how often he visited them. She expected you to say that and told me to make you promise. Matt laughed. Wives can be stubborn that way. She also keeps asking me when you're going to settle down and reminds me she knows many women who would love to meet you. There we go. Good old Bill. Smooth talking. We'll see. You can't force love, right? Matt questioned. Bill laughed. Hey, Jeremy, how you been? Great. How's business? Bill smiled. Good. Growing a little every day. It was nerve-wracking at first going out on my own, but I got the hang of it and things picked up, so it's great. Great to hear. Jeremy sounded happy for Bill. Matt was wondering when Bill had started his own advertising agency, but he didn't want to ask any dumb questions. The hot waitress came with more drinks, giving Matt a sexy smile. Jeremy and Bill reminisced about old accounts that Matt had no recollection of. Then the conversation steered to the hockey game, which Matt was more comfortable talking about. Jeremy had to go, leaving Bill and Matt. Whatever happened to us taking on the advertising world together? Matt asked. Bill laughed. Life changes. Plans change. You have to go with the flow. Besides, Matt, my dreams changed. You know that. Claudia is the best thing that ever happened to me, and with 2 beautiful children and a nice business to call my own, your dreams came true for you too, right? You're the VP of the company. A company you love, and it dominates the whole advertising world. I think we did pretty well, don't you? I guess you're right, Matt had to admit. Things are great for me. They talked about Bill's business a little more. Conversation also led to Mike and Charlie. Turns out Mike married the hot blonde journalist, Meg, and they traveled a lot for her job, though that didn't matter since Mike could develop web pages from anywhere. Bill hadn't seen them in months, but said they seemed happy. Charlie met the woman of his dreams at a sci-fi convention and moved to South Carolina to be with her, running a small bed and breakfast her family had always owned. It seemed crazy that all of his friends had moved on with their lives. Matt had always assumed life would be the same, working hard, drinking at the bar, picking up chicks. It was like Bill said, things change, life changes, but did he want change? Could he handle that much change in his life? He didn't know. Bill talked about his wife and kids with such adoration on his face, it made Matt wonder if he'd ever feel that way about his. Why did he not already? Matt, I should get going. I have an early morning tomorrow. I get it. It was great to hang out with you, Bill. Tell Claudia I promised to visit too soon. She'll be glad to hear it. Bill grabbed his coat and gave Matt a quick hug before heading out. It seemed like ages before Matt got the attention of the hot waitress again, but she came over. You poor thing, you're all alone. What are you going to do now? He was not that dumb. She had to be flirting with him now. I guess I need to find better company. Yes, you do, she said with a wink. You want me to grab you another drink? Yes, I would. And don't take so long coming back next time, he said with a smile. He decided to drink a few more and watch the game. Each time the hottie came over to bring him another drink, she was in a hurry and couldn't talk. But around midnight she came back and Matt saw his chance. So how late are you here for? My shift goes all night. I am a hard-working girl, she giggled a little. I have to pay the bills somehow. How about finding a new way to pay the bills? I mean, you're hot. Ever consider modeling? Matt asked. Well, isn't that sweet, but I'm too short to model. There are businesses out there in need of shorter models. If you wanted, you can drop by my office and take a few headshots. You should give it a try. He was proud to make her night. She smiled. Men give me those lines all the time, honey. Good try. He was not deterred. No, really, take a look. He pulled out his business card. I'm the VP and could pull some strings. She eyed the card a moment. Wow, thanks. I appreciate that. Show her name and number on a napkin and hand it to him. Don't forget about me. Oh, I won't. He ordered 2 shots of tequila to congratulate himself on his do-good moment of the night, and 30 minutes later he felt it kick in. This time when she came over, he pulled her closer to him by her belt loop. She faked a laugh. It's getting late. Maybe it's time you called it a night. I figured I'd stay here so I can make sure you get home safe. New York can be a scary place at night, he slurred. I'll be fine. I do it all the time. Don't worry about me. Oh, but I do worry, unless I get you home safe. He tried to pull her onto his lap, but she pushed him back. Phil's here tonight, and my place is on his way, so he'll walk me home. She half smiled and headed for the bar. Matt didn't want to lose his chance, so he grabbed her arm. Don't you want some company tonight? It's late, and I'm tired, and we'll just go to bed. Good night. We were hitting it off. What happened? He asked, confused with her reaction. Sorry if you were reading things the wrong way. I'm just doing my job. You know, we work for tips. So all of that was for money? What else would you do for money? He asked, angry with being rejected. Horror spread across her face and she slapped him hard. Jerk! You're old enough to be my father. Disgusting. I can't believe you actually thought I wanted you. I should have known the whole model thing was a ploy to get me into bed. Pathetic. And she stalked away. Matt stood there in shock for a moment and embarrassed. What came over him? Why did he assume this hot young chick would want to get with him? Did he think young women were going to sleep with him all of his life? Plus, if she wanted to be with him, wouldn't it just be for money or to get something from him? He left a huge tip, knowing it wouldn't make up for how he treated her, and headed out the door, hoping the fresh air would sober him up. The whole walk home, he beat himself over the terrible night, almost walking past his place. He needed to get to bed and forget it ever happened. Chapter 12. Matt opened his eyes, expecting a pissed-off wife or a demanding messy kids, or maybe even James whispering sweet nothings in his ear, but all he found was an old loft apartment and no one else in sight. What the hell had he done? Did he piss off the universe enough last night that it gave up on him and sent him back here? He didn't blame it. What got into him? He shook his head, hoping to get rid of the memory. What day is it even? What did he do now? Should he forget it all happened? Will any of it happen now? Did he screw it all up for himself? Damn it, James. Where is he? Is he coming back, or did he give up too? Matt crawled out of bed. Maybe none of that even happened. Maybe all of it was one long, messed-up dream. That had the day after his night out with the boys and supposed run-in with James. Was it all a dream? He drank too much, and his imagination got away. If so, that was one crazy, vivid dream. It seemed so real. Was his subconscious trying to tell him something? Neither situation ended well, did it? A shower would clear his head. Less anxious after he walked out of the shower, he got dressed and headed to the living room. Confused, eh? Matt jumped a foot. Crap, James, you scared the hell out of me. But am I ever glad to see you? I was beginning to wonder if you were even real or if I jumped you up. I'm real, all right. Well, as real as I can be, I guess. He winked. Can't get rid of me just yet. I'm glad. I feel less crazy now, if that makes any sense. Are the fates pissed off at me and sent me back to the start? Am I screwed, James? James laughed. Last night was pretty messed up, but amusing too. He smiled. This is the end of our journey together, Matt. You've seen all I'm allowed to show you, and now I must go. I know you miss me and all. I'm a hard man to forget, but you now must move forward. What do you mean? Live your life. Make a choice. You have your whole life ahead of you and many choices to be made, but the choice you make soon is the big one and will help determine most of your life past, so make it a good one. I guess this means I won't ever see you again, right? Yep, and don't get all weepy on me. I don't like criers. Ha, I don't cry. It's just weird having you around this past however many days, showing me so much, knowing so much about me as you do, and then having you leave again. That's the game. I come in your time in most need, help you out, and then leave forever. This chance only happens once, and not even for most people, so make sure it was worth it. Make your life count, Matt. And with that, he disappeared in James-type fashion. I hate that. He appears and disappears wherever and whenever he likes. Goodbye to you too, James. Nice knowing ya. Matt huffed to the kitchen. He had such a huge choice ahead of him and still no better answer. What should he do now? Ask Laura out before she leaves and loses his chance? Or let her go and live a grand life without her? Would she be better off without him? Both lives are so different. Did they have to be that way? He thought about it, going through all of it in his head as he ate breakfast. Is it possible to convince Laura to stay in New York? Couldn't he be happily married to someone else? All his answers came back to the future that James had shown him. He figured he must choose one or the other. It was a huge fork in the road he had to make a choice, but which life did he really want? Neither was perfect. Most of the choices in his life had been easy. He'd always seemed to know what to do, but not now. This one was much more difficult. After 3 hours of back and forth, he called Bill, hoping he'd help him out, or at least take his mind off of it for a while. They met for lunch at Bill's favorite greasy diner. It was a 50s-looking place with the best burgers Matt had ever had. You sounded anxious on the phone, Matt. What's up? I'm wrestling with something. Why don't you just ask her out already? You've been pining over Laura for weeks now. It's about time you stepped up and took her out on a date. What? How'd you know? Matt was taken aback. I've been your best friend your whole life, Matt, and I know when you're jonesing for a girl, and this one you've been wanting the worst, so why not ask her out already? The whole situation is so complicated. It's not. Life's not that complicated. Love should not be complicated, Matt. Love? Who's talking about love? We are, Matt. You already know how I feel about her. Otherwise, it wouldn't be this difficult. I can see it in your eyes. It scares you. But why? Shouldn't it make you excited? Bill shrugged, as if it should be the easiest decision. What if I ask her out, and things get serious, and she moves away, and in the end, well, that would suck. Would that be worth it, really, to get my heart broke? Or what if it gets so serious, and I can't let her go, but she won't stay here, so... Matt trailed off, not wanting to say it out loud. Then, man, you do what you must do. Bill sat silent for a minute, contemplation all over his face. Life is short, Matt, and we don't know what'll happen. You live for today, and I hope you make the right choices for tomorrow. I hesitated. But what if you knew what could happen tomorrow? Bill laughed. Well, wouldn't that be nice? Lottery, here we come. No, I'm serious. What if you knew what would happen depending on what choice you made? And what if each choice had a different outcome? Then it wouldn't be a hard choice to make. One of them would be your real wish. I have to get going, Matt. My mom needs me today. One more thing. Our career is pretty awesome, right? I mean, would you do it all over again? Would you ever leave? Bill laughed at him. Matt, this is our dream. We've been working for this our whole life, and we made it. We're on our way to the top. He smiled. Of course, I wouldn't change a thing, and I doubt I'll ever leave. Why leave anything you love? But if the right situation came along, you never know. I need to get going. Talk to you later, okay? And don't worry so much, Matt. Always go with your gut. That makes it easy. And then he left. Well, that didn't help at all. Bill helped Matt go from sure, ask her out to what? Why leave this job? He was still so confused, and his gut, come on, it had no clue either. He wandered the streets thinking, going back and forth, weighing every little thing. Did knowing even help? He wasn't sure. Would he ever be sure? There was still time. He didn't need to make his mind up this second. He needed a few days to clear his head. It would take at least that to figure this whole thing out. Matt heard his name and looked up, seeing Laura come out of the bookshop, smiling at him. Hey, Laura. He didn't know what to say. Where are you headed? She asked. Just wandering, enjoying the hustle and bustle of the crowd. Really? She wondered. I still haven't gotten used to this place. It's so loud and there's so many people. I don't think I'll ever get used to it. It's not quite for me. His heart slumped a little. I know. Minnesota is where your heart is. She smiled. Yep, I'm a Minnesota girl, through and through. And you love New York. This is your kind of place. True, I do love it here. They went silent. Well, nice to see you, Matt. She gave him a smile and headed off past him. He watched her for a moment, then turned back. Mind raced, full of such emotion. His heart raced more with each step he took. Was he having a heart attack? No way, not at his age. He took deep breaths, trying to calm himself down, but walking made his heart beat faster and stomach churn. Matt knew what he had to do. It was clear as day. He stopped and turned around, walking in almost a run. "Laura! Laura!" he called. She turned around as he headed toward her. "Laura, did you want to grab a coffee or something?" was all he managed to say. "I thought you'd never ask." He laughed. I'm glad he did, and they headed across the street. He didn't realize he took her hand till she squeezed his back. In that moment, Matt felt at peace. He just knew. James smiled down from the bookstore roof. Crazy humans. It's like they need a huge shove and magical signs everywhere just to make one decision. They seem to never have a clue. "You're welcome, Matt. You just needed a good shove." And he disappeared with a laugh. Epilogue. Matt woke up next to Laura, happier than he'd ever been in his life. He'd never regret finally asking her on a date. They'd been together ever since. She'd leave to move back to Minnesota soon, but he won't be far behind. That's the end of Deciding Destiny, Matt's Choice. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy. Check out the next book in the series, Deciding Destiny, Sam's Choice.